Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the June 11th, 2018 Board of Selectmen meeting. I want to thank everybody for joining tonight out in the audience, and for everybody joining us on TV as well tonight. Before we get started, if we could all rise so we can have our invocation and pledge allegiance.
Father God, Creator of all, we come before you as your servants and the elected servants of the people. We thank you for the many blessings you have bestowed upon us and our community. God, we acknowledge your presence and humbly ask you to guide our thoughts, actions, and decisions. We ask for an extra measure of wisdom, discernment, and understanding as we attend to the affairs of our community. We thank you, and for those of us that pray, we each pray to you in the manner and fashion we were taught. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. That's what you're going to do, All right. So as always, we're going to try to get through everybody in the audience first. Kind of take what we feel might go quicker, and just so those folks can take off. But since our last meeting, I do want to start the meeting by congratulating all of our high school seniors who graduated last Saturday. We certainly wish them the very best. I know it's an exciting time for all of them, and we certainly hope they make Georgetown proud. So congratulations to all our seniors that graduated. Okay, so first and foremost, let's start with the Turning Leaf acceptance. Hi, how are you?
Good evening. Jill Mann here on behalf of, I can't get myself in the chair.
How you doing, Joe?
I really can't.
Other than the chair,
Get in there.
how we
That's-
doing?
Okay, obviously getting bigger. So good evening here on behalf of Turning Leaf LLC. As you know, we did complete the road. We did secure a final acceptance of the plans themselves from the planning board, and we did go to town meeting and have the streets approved. So what we are here for this evening is to secure your signature as an acceptance of the ways, so that I can record the plans and record the deed, and you can own those streets, which are Vineyard, Grapevine, and Lisa Lane extension that hooks in.
Okay. All right. Hopefully everyone's had a chance to look at their notes and attachments. Do we have any discussion on the board? So Miss Mann here. Anybody?
No.
Anybody?
Not really, everything seems to be in order.
Everything seems to be in order
Just
for
a
me
deed
too.
assignment.
Yep.
The last page.
These were accepted by town meeting.
And what Mr. Farrell has is actually the clerk certified version. So if you sign that one original, then I'll file it tomorrow, and then in the morning, I'll send to Ms. Patano a copy of the recorded deed.
Okay. All right. So we just need a quick vote, right?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody want to make a motion? Thanks, Doug.
Mr. Chair.
I think we accept the deed.
Do we have Kip's name on there? Or?
Pardon me?
It's David.
We have to
That's
sign.
David.
Oh, yeah, it's David on there.
Oh, because it was a while
We
ago.
had to change the board.
We can literally,
Can we
Cross it
cross out initial?
Cross it out and put,
you don't have to initial, just cross it out and write, you can leave it blank and I'll fill it in.
so, Mr. Chair, I would move that per town meeting vote, we sign the quitclaim deed for the acceptance of Lisa, Turning Leaf street acceptance as it's prepared for us.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion second. Any further discussion
Just,
on the board?
okay, sorry. None.
None? Okay. Anybody else? Okay. If no other discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. That means no nays.
There you go. There you
You're in
go.
good shape.
Congratulations on your new streets. Chapter 90 loves you. You get a little more money.
Very little.
I know, but it's better than nothing. There are some towns who still don't accept them and get no Chapter 90 money.
Right.
That's dumb.
Oh, good. Well, that turned out to be a decent subdivision.
It's a very nice subdivision. I think they did a nice job.
Roadways.
Yeah, yeah, I think, you know, the contractor that did them, United Civil, does a nice job on the roadways.
I believe also a couple of years ago, we got quite a
Good new
bit
growth.
of new income and
Good
new
new
growth
growth.
from it also.
yeah.
so.
Oh, you got a lot of new income and new
Anything
growth.
else?
Those homes did generate some
Good,
cash.
okay.
Thank you very much.
We're all set.
Appreciate
Thank
your
you for
time.
coming out tonight. We really appreciate it.
Trying to
Thank
get
you
out
for your work.
easy this time.
Who takes us?
I do.
Let's see if we can have a Columbo moment.
Take care. Thanks again.
Thank you. All right, second, if we could call up Jill Bennis, please. American Legion Park Concerts and Traffic.
Good evening,
Good evening. How are you?
Jill Venus, One Lee Way,
Oh, it's Venus. I'm sorry. Oh, it's
Venus,
Bennis.
that's okay.
My bad.
and you need me to explain?
I was gonna say yes. So,
Okay,
why don't you give us an update?
follow
on
up on the concert series.
Mhm.
After speaking with Lieutenant Hatch, it was recommended again that we make access into American Legion Park from Sunday afternoon from 3 to 7:30, 8 o'clock, a one-way. Coming in off of Prospect Street, down Milton Way, across Lee Way, and back up Pentucket Ave. So that the flow of traffic is much easier. And it's really a safety hazard too.
Well, at least this way it's circular.
Right, and we keep them going around. We did it last year during the high volume Sundays, and it really worked out well. And I think in anticipating more people that we will do it every Sunday. Just make
Oh, good.
it easier for everyone.
Okay.
Okay?
I think that works for everyone. And that was with you talked to Lieutenant Hatch on that,
Yes, Lieutenant Hatch, and
so they know about it. Okay.
yeah, he was the one that asked me to come back here to
Okay.
get approval, and so that you can put it out there to the public, knowing that that would happen.
Okay.
And I usually, anyway, notify all the neighbors involved.
All right, Mike. Do we need a vote on that?
Yes.
We do. Okay.
Well, Mr. Chair, I move that we accept the traffic flow plan for the summer concert series at American Legion Park as approved by Lieutenant Hatch and presented to us by by Jill Bennis from the
Second.
concert summer series.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on that? No? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right.
Okay, thank you very much.
Easy peasy. Thank you
Yes.
for coming out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. All right, so if we can invite the folks up from Tink, please.
Think-
Hi, gentlemen, how are you?
Great.
How are you?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and all the rest of the members of the Board of Selectmen for your time tonight.
Oh, our pleasure, our pleasure. If you could introduce yourself first.
Sure. My name is Eric Rogers. I am one of the co-founders of Tink, here before you today.
Okay.
Troy Brosnan, other co-founder of Tink.
Hi, Troy.
Okay, all right.
Good, good. Well, thanks for coming out and talking to us about the excitement.
Yes, no, we appreciate the time. I did bring copies of presentation that we went through with Doug and Mike a few weeks ago.
Okay.
Want to make sure everybody had a copy in general, but
I think we got enough for each of the members of the
awesome,
board.
just making sure.
But do we have? Do you have yours?
I'll take another one.
Yeah, if we could, and I think Kip would probably need one.
That's why we brought them, just in case.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
Had a loan line to Joe.
No problem.
So this is pretty unique. I'm not gonna lie to you. I hadn't heard of this before. So I'm a little anxious to hear about it.
Yeah, so in knowing that you have a lot of demands on your time, how would be the best use of this time? I could kind of just take you through a high level overview of the company, what we're hoping to do in terms of partnering with our community versus necessarily going through, or we you
Well,
go through?
Well, again, the product, I think, first of all, is a little unique, for me anyway. I don't know if anybody else, feels that way. So I like maybe a little, gain a little
Background.
knowledge on that,
Sure.
and how this came around, and then, and then kind of what you'd like to see from there.
Sure, absolutely. So Troy and I, our backgrounds are both in the advertising, marketing arena of our careers. We both started sort of differently, both on the advertising agency side of things, so sort of that passion for building brands. So for us, as marketers, seeing this onset of a new industry coming about, it was sort of this moment of acknowledging consumer behavior intersecting with personal need. Is I am a medical patient, we're both medical patients in Massachusetts. We understand that smoking is not a healthy, consumer action. But as adults, we're familiar with gathering around and consuming beverages with an anticipated effect. Whether that's your morning coffee or in the evening gathering at the Spot, which we were just at before we came over here to check it out. Love the name. For a drink. There's also that concept of then customizing that experience, whether you're having, a double espresso in the morning or just going for a small cup of coffee, or you're opting for a cocktail over a glass of wine or a beer. So it's taking sort of that innately social concept of sharing drinks, gathering around drinks, and applying it to a new industry. So that was really the genesis of the idea of where do we want to make an impact and how can we create a brand. For us then, sort of thinking through the problem, myself, Troy included, everyone we've talked to has had a bad experience with an edible because there's that concept of waiting a couple of hours, and then there's that high propensity of overdosing yourself in terms of consuming too much cannabis.
I stopped. Wait, what do you mean waiting too long?
So with an edible, when you're consuming a product, whether it's a cookie, a brownie, or something like that, you're recommended to wait about 2 hours before you can feel the onset of effects of that.
Okay.
So that's where there's a lot of people get themselves into trouble. They're like, well, it's been an hour and nothing's happened. So for us, understanding that there's the consumer behavior around drinks, how do we increase the efficacy of that so that it has a more similar effect, right? You have that sort of 30 to 60 minute onset of effects and a shorter duration of effects. So edibles take about 2 hours before you're going to feel the effects, and then they'll last 4 to 8 to 12 hours. So we wanted to shorten that duration of time, and then ultimately create products that are innately marketed towards adults, since Troy and I are both parents of young kids, and we don't think that cookies and gummy bears and brownies are going to be the future of this industry if we're going to move it forward. So how can we create products that are then tailored and marketed for that adult use audience?
Good.
So that's sort of what set us on this journey forward. Yeah.
Okay. How'd you come up with the name, by the way?
Um,
And then the slogan is awesome. Let me tell you.
Thank you. We
That's
appreciate
actually
that.
pretty cool. I like it.
So yeah, the name Tink, the sort of first product on that sort of beverage front that we created is an ethanol-based infusion. So it's at the end of the day, it's alcohol and cannabis. So it's just sort of a process that takes time, but then it's a couple of drops, that you could add to any drink that you want. My personal favorite is chocolate milk. To add it to, but then sort of that alcohol sort of experience where within sort of 15 minutes to half an hour you're feeling the effects, you're able to measure it. It's sort of the picture of that bottle on here, Tink. That is traditionally called a tincture. So tinctures have existed for thousands of years. It's actually how survivalists used to preserve herbs in the wild and then cook with them to flavor their foods on the go. So it's taking that concept. It's a product that exists in the market now, but we wanted to sort of change and bring it forward from sort of the medical traditional uses of it into the adult use, more recreational market. So that was sort of the inspiration behind the broader vision of the beverage company. So that's Tink comes from tinctures. That's sort of where we came up with that. And then the Seed to Sip moniker comes from the fact that we just want to be a very a premium brand, but we also want to be transparent with our consumers so that they know that we're getting and sourcing the highest quality product. We're controlling the manufacturing process, which is a nice dovetail into what we're trying to do here in town, by having our own extraction lab and beverage facilities. So think like, all the mixing tanks you'd see in a brewery, but also a small extraction lab so that we're controlling the quality of that oil, and then the quality of the infusion and the end product that comes to consumers. So that concept of transparency, sort of farm to table play a little bit with the Seed to Sip.
So, all right, are you producing? This is an oil.
Yeah, it's an oil, it's an ethanol, and then an ethanol-based infusion as well. So there is.
Okay.
Um,
So you're producing this, but you're
That's-
not so
that's-
much producing.
so no, so the
drink.
broader product set is.
Wow.
This was just sort of the inspiration. That
Okay.
was part of the
No, that's all
background.
right. I
So
jumped the gun,
the
obviously.
products that we're going to have are ready to drink 12-ounce beverages that are in line with the state regulations of a maximum of 5 milligrams of THC per 12 ounces. We're also thinking of doing lower dose ones, 2.5 milligram drinks, because we think from a target audience perspective that we want consumers to have a very controlled and consistent experience, and we don't think that you need a lot of cannabis to be able to do that. So again, that kind of concept of responsible consumption. We don't want to provide them with a higher dose product that they might not be ready for if they're a novice consumer.
And what kind of drinks are we talking about?
So the first 3 drinks that we're going to have are sparkling water that we'll be using only the all-natural flavor profile of the actual cannabis flower itself. So if you're not familiar, the flavor profiles in cannabis are called terpenes. They're the chemical flavor profile that exists in banana peels and pine needles and all that. All those things are present in cannabis as well. We'll be extracting those in our lab and then reintroducing those for sort of a unique flavor profile in the sparkling water. It'll give it its own sort of earthy, sort of flavor to it. And then we're going to have a unsweetened tea and cold brew coffee. They're the first 3 products that we're hoping to come to market with.
Okay. Right. And this is from a recreational standpoint or medicinal?
This is for recreational standpoint is the main market that we'll be servicing. But as a manufacturer in the upcoming adult use market, we can service both audiences or both markets.
Okay. All right. Sure. Go ahead.
When we first spoke, I believe the understanding was that you would be marketing your product towards the registered distribution centers only and not on a retail basis out of a store or anything like that.
Yeah, correct. So we, as a manufacturer, we just want to be a locked door facility. Where we'll have sort of the extraction lab and the beverage facilities. So all the sort of traffic, any traffic that we'd have would just be the delivery vehicle coming in and a delivery vehicle going out. And then initially to start, we're 3 to 4 employees, hoping to scale to around 10 to 12 over the first 18 to 24 months as we kind of grow in the market. But we plan to have a facility completely in line with the state guidelines from a security standpoint. We met with Chief Cudmore and Chief Mitchell last week to talk through what our plans were with them, and they said we could pass along that they gave their thumbs up to what we were trying to do. So, we're not looking to have visitors. We're not looking to have anybody really know what we're doing. We just want to be
Not even signed.
no signage or anything. We just kind of want to blend in.
Go ahead.
If I might follow up, by any chance, do you plan on having any just straight CBD infusions? Medicinal?
We are. That is a product line that we're also working on. We've got a CBD water that we're talking about, as well as some of the vaporizer cartridges as well that are CBD only.
For those of us who aren't up on the acronyms, what are we talking about?
Cannabidiol.
Yes. So CBD, THC, those are individual chemicals within cannabis. THC is actually the only psychoactive one. So there's a lot. So CBD, the federal regulations have been very, very relaxed. My mom just went and picked up a CBD oral spray because she just had a dental procedure and wanted, instead of using ibuprofen, at a natural food store in Reading. So it's readily available. You can order it on Amazon or anywhere online. But it's one of the chemicals. And actually, as you dig in and learn more about it, it actually is sort of the opposite of THC. So if THC is the one chemical in cannabis that gives you that psychoactive effect, CBD actually counteracts that effect, which is why it's naturally occurring higher in hemp where there isn't THC. CBD is just one of the 400 chemicals within cannabis.
All right, what do you guys have for competition in the year?
From a beverage perspective, not a lot. There's one beverage that we found in the medical market right now out of Ermont and Quincy. It's a high sugar, I think it was a lemonade.
Really bad.
But that's part of what we're trying to go when we look at sort of the existing market. And we included some samples of other markets, Colorado, Oregon, and Washington, and existing beverage companies just sort of on a national scale, since there's not so much here at home. But we want to move away from that high sugar content. A lot of them are sodas or juices, so that's why we're going sort of simple, all natural ingredients to start, because we really don't want anything that's loaded with sugar. We want to align with that healthy, sort of active lifestyle. If we're trying to be more social about it, it's hard to crush a couple of lemonades that, you know, one after the other. So
Are you growing your own product?
no, we'll be sourcing product from licensed cultivators in the state. So we've started those conversations. I mean, Nat here in town, that was a
Yeah.
relationship that we had already started talking with them, just in terms of what our goals were to come into, just in general as a manufacturer, and since they're a registered medical dispensary. And then we've also talked with a couple of new license applicants as well. One of which is this gentleman by the name of Sean. He actually has the only farm in Boston right now. It's Cornerstock Farms. They sell or they grow hydroponic lettuce inside of recycled shipping containers and provide that to the Boston Public Schools. So they're providing healthy, nutritious food to the Boston Public Schools. They've announced their intention to also enter into the cannabis space, and we've struck a relationship with them in terms of helping supply, since that's obviously an area of need for us, since we won't be growing.
Is that something where you have to go pick up the product, or will they be coming to town to deliver?
So, yeah, likely someone would be delivering. As a manufacturer, we're licensed to go pick up and do our own deliveries if we have the proper vehicles. Right now, the latest that I heard, and I can double check on that, was that there was only one delivery service that's actually submitted an application so far. So, I think some of those kinks, but yeah, there would just be a delivery from point A to point B that would happen.
Okay. All right. Doug, go
I
ahead.
have a question for you. I know that you're proposing basically a 10,000 square foot structure. And in some of the research I've been doing, there's probably only about 10 or 12 infused beverage companies in the country right now, most of them being in the western states. But I did find out that Consolidated Foods I think it's Consolidated, that owns Corona and a few others.
Constellation brands. Yep.
And some of those bigger companies are preparing themselves to tool up for that market,
Mm-hmm.
which I've been told by people that supposedly know that they think that infused beverages are kind of the mother lode, that everybody wants them and nobody can get them. So, in that vein, I would hope that your plan is to start a business, grow it, and resist all attempts from other companies to buy you out.
Troy and I don't have a plan B.
This is it.
I left my real job in November of 2016. Troy left his at the end of last year. This is our dream that we're trying to put into a reality. So yeah, we have no intentions of exits, which, as you can imagine, on the fundraising front isn't the best discussion to have. But no, we want to grow, and this is our plan.
So now, do the RMDs that you purchase product from, will they be making the tinctures, or will you be making the tinctures?
They make them now, so that'll be one of our products if they have interest
You're not
for
looking
it.
at raw product and doing that yourself?
No,
Yeah,
we're just going to be buying the cannabis flower and then processing it in our lab to create oil. The only other secondary product is we will have sort of the vaporizer cartridges as well, but the vision is to just maximize the drink. We understand it's a new market and we got to build that demand over time. So we're just trying to create a thoughtful plan
So
forward.
where are you with the state right now?
As part of that process, you need to have that host community agreement in place. So that is why we're here, to sort of talk and make sure that there are no objections and provide a draft forward on that. Once we have the host community agreement, that's sort of the last box that we need to check to then be able to submit our application with the state. So that's sort of the latest. We have our application started and it's in progress, but none of our 3 packets have been marked complete yet as we're working through it.
Okay, so what are you looking at for a realistic timeline?
Realistic timeline is a very loaded question, but hopefully by early next year is really what we're hoping to from an in-market perspective. Understanding that when we last spoke, we were talking about the property that's available in town and how can we potentially build. Understanding there might be longer lead times on that, we're also looking to potentially lease some space in town as well. As sort of more short term, as we can then find a suitable location and then build that location. So we're open to both. We're exploring both opportunities right now, but again, as we mentioned when we first talked, the goal is to exist, because that's the dream. So we'll get there however we need to.
Okay. That's basically all I have.
All right, and actually, Greg just hit upon my question as far as the facility. Let's go, Steve.
I got a few questions. Hey, guys, I appreciate you coming tonight. Few questions. I think for the people at home and in the audience, where is the location of this facility that you're proposing?
That's still in flux right now. We were
Okay.
looking at some property off of Tenney Street. We're still working through sort of the due diligence of whether or not there's enough buildable space. I met with Steve in Conservation last week as we were just going through the plots and wanted to get his opinion based on the information that we had in terms of what was buildable out there. So it seems like maybe not as much as is being advertised, but I don't want to say that too loud. I don't know, I was watching. So trying to figure that out over there, but we're also exploring some of the, we saw that there were building available for lease over on Carlton Drive. So we reached out over there. So if you have any suggestions, we're open to that as well.
Sure. Okay. And you mentioned starting out, you were gonna go with a certain number of products. So as you grow, what other products do you think you'd be introducing?
All beverage based. So I mean, we have sort of a seasonal beverage approach where similar to like that craft beer scene where we'll use that as sort of our testing grounds, whether it's, a fall cider, or some other, it's a spring beverage of sorts. So we're sort of working in progress with those, but they would all be, again, sort of our mission is rooted in simple and all natural ingredients. So we're not looking to sort of shift gears into sodas and things like that at this point.
But you'll actually you'll have the alcohol on site.
No alcohol.
No alcohol.
None of these drinks have alcohol. Only cannabis.
Oh, I thought okay.
Just that tincture is an ethanol, has alcohol in it. It's
Gotcha.
from a medicinal standpoint.
Okay.
But none of these drinks have alcohol. Thank you for asking.
I
No,
get you.
only
Okay.
THC. There will not be any alcohol in
All
these.
right. I
these
just
drinks.
happened to read the other
Oh,
partner
the tank.
had
Oh no,
experience.
yeah, her experience is in alcohol because the idea was you're used to you're used to
Put two and two together.
another regulated industry where you can't lose any product. So we're taking to apply those skills to this new industry.
Okay.
It's hard to have experience in a new industry, right?
Yeah.
So.
Well, that leads to my next question. So, what's your background? I mean, in terms of making this a successful business. I mean, do you?
So yeah, I mean, we've
Other than
spent
smoking it or eating it. What have you guys done?
we've done a lot of research. I mean, we've traveled around the country. We've
Yeah.
visited other other labs, other infused beverage companies as well, out in Colorado, out in Seattle. We've made that trip. I mean, even later this week, we're going to another sort of lab visit in Maine. So we've just spent the last 2 years doing the research to figure out, okay, what is the best way to then take that raw flour and put it into a beverage at the end of the day. So we'll be using sort of a nano emulsifier. So we're encapsulating the cannabis on a molecular level so it distributes evenly within the drink and helps make it a shelf-stable beverage. So, I mean, it's been a lot of research, a lot of talking with people in the space, out of the space, other beverage companies that exist, and yeah, taking it all in. So neither one of us have specific background. Troy worked in a brewery for many years, but that's the closest thing we come to specific beverage background outside of it being a hobby.
Sure. Are you required? I know the other healthy farms that's in town. It's like walking into a pharmaceutical plant, right? You know, you have is that the same
Same thing. Yep.
requirements that you
Same
guys
requirements
have?
overall. Speaking of which, we've even gone down to the details of what are we going to use from like a sanitation perspective in the facility, and we don't want to use any chemicals, but we also want to be in line. So like apparently the next generation of sanitation is using like ozone and the ion stuff to sanitize. So we've already selected vendors like that in terms of where we are in our planning process of like how we can be compliant with the state regs, or even take it a step further to be to really set the new bar here. Since there really isn't, at least short term, going to be another manufacturer with a focus on beverages. To Doug's point, it's it's a holy grail, but it only came to light last October. So we were quietly plugging along on this, and then Constellation Brands made that investment, which was a good proof of concept for us in that moment, for sure.
Sure. Okay. Would you guys, if we did a hosting agreement, would you be willing to put in there that you would not do beer?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
so just so you're aware, from a state regulation perspective, you can't have alcohol and cannabis in a drink, like a ready-to-drink, any type. So that's.
Oh, you can't?
Yeah, no, you can't have that whatsoever. You might have heard a lot of the like fuss around actually to go back
was
to the
thinking
CBD.
about that, yeah.
And that was part of it, was that they were adding CBD to a double IPA, so there was 8-9% alcohol and
Yeah.
CBD. And because cannabis is now regulated by the CCC, that's what made those drinks illegal, and they kind of shut them down, both state level but nationally as well, because of that alcohol concept. So yeah, any potential collaborations, we are talking with existing Massachusetts-based beverage brands about collaborations. Would also again not include any alcohol whatsoever.
Okay.
So yes, happy to put that in the host agreement.
Good to- All right, and then, I think the other question, I'm looking through the presentation here, what page was it on here? I think it was when you were talking about your competitors. And where was that? Oh, it may have been before the vision, no. Yeah, let's see. TV, water, oil. Thank you. Oh, here we go. Yep. So in the appendix, you know, are these the type of products that you'd be marketing? These berry lemonade, fruit punch?
So no, part of this is showing what exists out there.
Yep.
So yeah, that's sort of again looking at where we see the market as it stands now, and then what we want to do is moving away from those high sugar content, any sodas or anything like that, which is why water, tea, and coffee are the first three that we're coming out with.
Sure.
Since there's no added sugar in general. So this is just sampling of what exists in other states. So
Sure.
so not specifically, but these are very high dose beverages that are pictured here as well. These are 100 milligrams. They're 20 times stronger than the drinks that we'll be putting out. If I were to point to one,
pass some of them out? I don't think the rest of us.
Yeah,
Have
that
the,
wasn't,
I
Yeah.
think you've got more information.
that wasn't in the original one, yeah.
yeah, we sent a follow-up document with some to answer also some of.
The reason why I asked the question is because this looks eerily similar to what the vaping industry, or where the vaping industry is going, with packaged labels that are kind of enticing the kids, you know, berry lemonade, fruit punch.
Yeah. So again, we don't want
Yeah.
anything that has that inherent youth appeal. We're
Yeah.
banking on the fact that no kid has ever said, "Give me more of your unsweetened tea." But yeah, no. So the CCC and the final regulations, and we could send this to you, was very specific and deliberate in terms of what the packaging requirements are. In terms of the disclosures that you need to have on there for warnings, they developed 2 logos as well that need to be on all individual packages. And then they even go as far to like dictate on a color level what types of colors you can use, so that you're not having an inherent youth appeal in that. So hopefully you can see sort of our logo in general, clean lines overall, that we're not trying to emulate that. It's sort of on the thank you page. You can see we're trying to move away from that stigma of the youth appeal. Our colors, more bright and airy and more on that sort of health and wellness pillar, but
Gotcha.
the drinks will all be wrapped in a healthy dose of warnings, for
Okay.
sure.
And then, my last question for now anyhow. So can you use these drops in any type of vaping equipment or no?
The drops, no.
Or any of the products? that you
We
have?
will have a vaporizer product that
Okay.
we will have. It'll just be the all natural. So we're doing supercritical CO2 extraction. So it's considered the safest extraction. There's no residual solvents, and CO2 is something we're already breathing. It's easy to evaporate off of the final product. So it'd just be that CO2 oil going into those cartridges. It's almost the exact same thing that Healthy Farms does in their cartridges. Exactly, just different equipment and methodology to get there.
But once again, it's selling to suppliers. I'm sorry, Steve.
Yeah,
One second.
that's
Okay,
right.
I just want to make
Yeah. Yeah,
So
our
other
only,
than beverages, though, there are other things than beverages, right? We're talking.
the vaporizer cartridges.
Is there anything else?
no.
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 So it's beverages plus the vaporizer.
Yeah, that's our goal. Part of what we saw in the Massachusetts market with the way that we set up the medicinal infrastructure was everyone had to be vertically integrated and then had to create a complete an entire product suite. So we're hoping that through focus we can become the experts in that and carve out our niche rather than trying to create a wide array of varying products to serve different audiences. So
Okay. I appreciate it. That's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Journey.
I got just a comment, really. First of all, I can't believe these are 100 milligrams.
yeah,
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Wow. Well, it's good to see you basically have a session beer.
yeah,
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
2.5, which
Yes.
is a nice intro.
yes, that's the idea. Correct.
Just the other question I had really was, or comment was, in terms of the space that you're looking at, what's with the 10,000 square footage? So how did you come up with that number?
So what we forecast that we need from an actual space perspective is between 3,000 to 4,000 square feet for the actual equipment that we have. There's a little bit of a barometer on that based on the mixing tanks that we end up getting. We're looking to purchase those used at auction. They're typically from a brewer, so we're unclear what size we'll be able to get on that. So that's where there's a little bit of variability. But the concept was we wanted to find a space where we could have the ability to grow into it if we needed more space long term. We had talked about and thrown out a couple of ideas of other ways that we could use that unused space short term. One of which included, because one piece we haven't really talked about a lot, focused on the product, but is our partnership with the community and what we want to do. That how can we offer up space that's separate, and locked off from the rest of our facility, and then donate that space for other community engagement events overall. So we're sort of open. That's obviously the ideal size that we'd be looking to go if we were to build a facility. We'd just go a little bigger so that we had that room to grow into it from an overall equipment perspective.
Okay. And the other you have local roots, right? You guys
I'm
from around here?
in Middleton, yeah. So
Okay.
I'm just,
And I'll be moving up from,
Yeah.
I'm
But
down
you're
South
from this
Shore.
area, right? Didn't I read that somewhere?
I'm from Bedford originally.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, we both grew up in Massachusetts. As did Hillary, who's also in here. She grew up in Stoneham. So we're all all local. All local.
That's all I had.
Good. Mr. Fowler.
No, I don't have a lot. My questions would be more to manufacturing type of deal, and you've answered most of that. You're not sure at this point whether you'll be more bottles, cans, or plastic?
Cans.
It will be cans?
Cans, yeah.
Okay, yeah, it seems like the beverage, what do you call that, the craft brew is now moving from bottles to cans.
Yeah.
Yep.
They've come out with, I think, a new labeling where they can get
Yep,
Yeah.
still
exactly.
plain cans and put your own labels on.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bottling
Yeah,
lines are not forgiving either for multiple sizes or flexibility.
Or
in
cost
that.
efficiency.
Or cost
No, I
efficiencies,
have
yeah.
35-year background in can
Yeah. Oh, awesome.
manufacturing.
Oh,
so
amazing.
So I'm a little familiar. So
Yeah.
that's why, and when you talk about the size and the space, I guess my only, would you be looking to perhaps, I think you might have mentioned something where you have a background in it. Are you looking to, for investors, would you be looking to like pot somebody that's now, that has that knowledge? Or you feel that you've got the knowledge of the it's still called bottling, I think,
Sure.
but you're putting it in cans. so-
Yeah, that was back in college, so it's been
Oh,
it's been
okay.
quite a
It's been
while.
a while,
We've put a lot of calls out to smarter than we are people when we hit a blip in the radar. So we do have a couple really great guys down in Rhode Island that we're working with that are helping us out a lot. But that's
It's interesting. In Georgetown for a while, down off of Jewett Street, in the old Rogers Chair Factory, there was a manufacturer in there that was, they manufactured track work for bottling plants. I understand they went to Newburyport. They left Georgetown. I don't know if they're still in Newburyport, but they were locally,
What was the
Interesting.
What was the name?
I can't remember the name, but I know that
I'll search
they
them
were
up.
working in Maine for Poland Springs. I mean, they did, some
Awesome.
large work, yeah.
Interesting. That's
I
great.
can find out for you.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
I can
Thank
find
you.
out.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome.
Is that it, Gary?
Yeah,
Okay.
just, what do you think we do now? Do we,
Well, we have to, but actually I have one other question, for me. So, you guys said you were going to employ how many people?
Initially, will be 3 to 4 people. and then we're hoping to scale up to around 10 to 12 over the next 18 months once we're in operation.
Okay. And are there any plans to, keeping open a position or two for a Georgetown resident?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, the community piece to us, when Troy and I first met, that was as important as anything else, was being a good partner to our community and then the state. Because whoever's going to lean in and let us do this, we are going to be eternally grateful for helping us go along the way. So, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And in the host agreement, do you have any objection to us, putting in something? Maybe it's already there. I don't know if we have a host agreement yet or not. But, I'd like some wording in there, to reflect that nothing can be sold out of that facility.
Yeah.
From a retail standpoint.
Yeah, no, we have no.
Yeah, we won't even have the license to do that, so.
Okay.
Absolutely.
We don't want to either.
Okay.
So.
All right. Good enough. I think those are the two. Again, you talked to Chief, about security.
Yep.
So he's up to speed on that.
Yep.
Obviously, you have to, there are state regulations in terms of security that
Yep.
you have to put in place?
Yep,
Yeah,
absolutely.
we're gonna go above and beyond anything in the regulations.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's a lot of cameras, especially at entry points, wherever products being delivered or going out. Everything needs to be done on camera. So yeah, the facility will be completely set from that perspective, and then will be a lock facility, and then likely key card access within the facility as well. So we went
Okay.
over some of that stuff.
All right. Good enough. Go ahead, Mike.
With the medicinal applicants had to develop financial pro formas. Have you done that yet?
Yeah.
You'd like to share them with us?
Yeah, we absolutely could. I mean, that's what they are, pro forma. But yeah, we can absolutely share that information.
And when we last spoke, when we first spoke, we suggested that your legal team put together a draft.
Yep, we have that draft. We just wanted to wait, make sure everybody was okay before we provided that. So yeah, we're ready with the draft. We based it on the other ones that were shared with us as well.
Mhm.
So hopefully there should be no surprises. We can make sure to add those specific notes that were requested today.
Do you have that with you tonight?
We can mail it electronically.
Okay.
Great.
Yes.
So, process is what? Why don't we map out a process here? Once it's emailed out, obviously we have to send it to, our legal folks as well. And then we'll just let, attorneys hash this out, or what are we doing?
That's basically how we've done it in the past, and that's how I explained it to them the first meeting we had. I mean, the sooner we get it to our legal, the sooner they can deal. I mean, it's not out of the question that by the 25th, we'd have a draft for the board to discuss.
Okay. Well, just know that we're, as a board, we're gonna have to work with our legal team and, make sure that, they're giving us the okay. But, this board, will do what it can, to push this along as quickly as possible. We don't like to sit on these, at all. We're, at least for me, we're excited to see, another business partner come in. I think everybody here, I'll speak for myself. I mean, we do consider, all our businesses partners. And certainly will help any way we can. But we will also make sure we're doing the right thing by the town and its citizens. So, from that standpoint, we're excited, to take a look and, hopefully get this done for you.
Awesome. If I could, I mean, I would recommend that the board do, continue to perform due diligence. This is a brand new market. I just don't want to go straight to hosting agreement and, call it a day. So I do hope that we take a little bit of time, and think about if this is right for the town. Thank you.
I agree. I mean, but I don't know how before we had on a one hosting agreement that we've come to. I know we had Mike and Doug, and was there a second selectman that worked? It was just you, Mike, and the attorney that worked, and I thought that worked out well for negotiating, and well, I might suggest that that we do that again. I don't know whether you need that in a motion or not, but, and would it get us into any trouble if I said, should we perhaps right now poll the board as to, are we open-minded to this, or do any of us have a closed mind so that they at least know? I mean, I'll say that I'm open-minded to it, but until we get through the host agreement, I'm not a definite yes, I've got an open mind to it, so just to let you know that.
If I can, Mr. Chair.
Sure.
Is it concern only the host agreement? Is that what you're saying? Or you're open to it if the host agreement meets
I'm
your-
open-minded to it as a business in town
Uh-huh.
with my concerns as to the host agreement. I mean, as we go through the host agreement, I think that's when we'll get better educated than what we've done now. And I'm sure that you're gonna educate us quite a bit on our
Yeah,
ends.
no, I
And that's
just-
fine, I mean, because
Yeah.
I appreciate that, I
Well,
really
again,
do.
it's, you know,
So,
I don't
you know,
wanna
you-
jump
you
in, just
look-
me personally, you know,
Oh, you look
we jump into
diligently and you
things,
share
know.
it with us, and that's what we
Um,
do as a board. I mean, so that,
But yeah, I don't think it would be prudent for the town or for the taxpayers if we pay an attorney to help us draft the host agreement that we don't even know what the board is.
that's
is
why I'm saying,
consensus,
do
yeah.
we need to sort of poll the board just to know that, is it worth us spending the money? I guess that's part of what I'm saying. I mean, I'm open-minded to it,
You know, yeah, you're open-minded, I'm open-minded, Doug's open-minded. All right, oh, we're all open-minded,
We
okay.
don't,
Because that's at least 3 votes. So we're open-minded to this. So why don't, we continue the open-mindedness and get it over to our attorneys and we'll start the process. Okay, with that being said, I mean, we'll certainly do our due diligence. If certainly any questions pop up on the 25th, whatever, we can certainly have open discussions, about it, it's fine.
Yeah, that's.
We're happy to
so,
provide
so
some
the,
resources
so
as well.
the one thing, if I might, Mr. Chair,
Sure.
is part of the regulations now would require you to have a community meeting. So are you putting something together for that,
Yes,
to present to the community?
yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah, we'd like to do that before that June 25th timeline that we talked about with Mike, so absolutely. We just didn't want to go too fast, right? We're trying to be respectful of
Oh,
whatever
one step
pace.
at a time.
Well,
Yeah.
sounds like we already turned our hand here. We know, all open for you, so I guess there
We
isn't
don't- we
anything
don't-
left to say.
We no longer need a letter of non-opposition or support.
We don't need that?
No,
Okay.
Because the law is in place, the bylaw is in place, the district's in place,
we
Okay.
have to work on the host agreement.
right?
Okay. I mean, so we can do
Do
that.
you remember, or Janet, when's Healthy Farms having their community meeting?
It's at the VFW.
Yeah.
They haven't told me about that yet.
Yeah, they contacted the VFW, it's
Oh, they do?
soon.
It's soon.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
You just wanna not conflict with them,
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely.
So,
Do we have a community meeting with
confuse the hell out of everybody.
No, it wasn't required.
It wasn't required back then?
But I don't know where they are with
And
this.
by the way, for everybody on the board, I think I'm certainly still okay with letting Mike and Doug, kind of be
well,
point
that's what I
on
was
this.
gonna say, do you want me to make a motion that Doug be the contact person along with Mike, or
Do we
you
need,
just wanna leave it
do we
that
need a
way?
vote for that? I don't
It's up,
know if we really need a vote for that.
We've just carried on,
Yeah.
yeah, you
We've
you
started
started it.
negotiations
okay,
with
so I
Healthy
think as
Farms
you said
already.
earlier about the other one, the open-mindedness, we're sort of in agreement that,
Yeah, well, and
Yeah.
as far as that's, I mean, Doug, has done a great job in terms of always researching, these things. He's highly knowledgeable, about this. So I think in terms of spearheading the effort, I'm okay with that.
I agree.
All right, you got the job, Doug. All right. Any other questions? Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming tonight.
Thank you.
I'm
Really
certainly,
appreciate the time.
Thinking we'll be talking
Helpful
to
to
you soon.
leave the extra copies just in case, or?
Can't hurt.
Yeah, okay, great.
Give him to the planning committee over there. Got two of the planning committee members over there.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, gentlemen. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks a lot for coming in.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, we have, well, we have David Peter and Rob and whoever else, anybody else on planning here? Yeah, no, I saw you, nobody else, okay. So planning and light, if you guys wanna come up. Alright. Oh, Nick too, sorry. That's right, you just go for it, all right, congratulations. Sure.
You the one now with 2 jobs?
I just sent him a text and asked him what to do.
All right, so, gentlemen, first and foremost, thanks everybody, for coming in. This is our second, go-around, on this, and, so again, we certainly appreciate it. As I said in my, preface, in the last meeting, I really just, really wanted us all to come together and discuss these matters as it pertains to the best interest of the town, right? And that's all we're trying. We're not imposing anything or whatever. We're just having discussions. Kind of get thoughts on both sides. There is still, I will say, some concern over some of the lighting being put in town. And so I wanted just to have that discussion about what we're doing in terms of installing, and then on the planning side, I know they have some concerns that they want to voice as well. And when we're finished discussing the topic, certainly the board of selectmen and its members can ask any questions that you want. I will tell you this will be the last time we get together. I will vow to that, because again we are just here to have a discussion, but this will be the last time, because outside of tonight, I don't think there's more to talk about. Okay, so again, thank you all, for joining tonight and having the discussion. So I'm going to actually start with Chairman Hoover. Of the
Just
planning
back
board.
up for a second. Just
Sure.
let's talk about where we're at physically on the system, and that way. So
Well, I was going to get to that, but I did have a question for Rob, if I could, and then I was going to do that. Okay, so Rob, I do want to outline that fact, and that anything and everything that you have tonight, okay, let it rip, okay, because I really want this to be the last meeting when it comes to this, okay, and make sure that everyone's understanding of where we're at, okay, what has happened, any requests that you want to make, and any suggestions that you might want to make. And note, there will be suggestions at this point for discussion. Okay. All right. So again, I want to just make sure everyone's mind is at ease that this board is not imposing anything. Okay. So with that said, okay.
Were you asking me a question?
No, I just want to make sure that you were okay with that notion that this will be the last
That
meeting.
is a question.
So. Yeah, I mean, if
So
you,
I would say, depending on how the meeting goes, would be, it's the last meeting from the planning department's perspective.
right, and that's all I'm saying, all right, because, I really just don't want to have this to be an ongoing issue here, because, again, I'm not sure, what we can accomplish as a board, other than having these discussions. So with that said, Peter, why don't you, kick it off, kind of let us know what you've been doing, kind of, how much of the project is complete, and any other information that you find is pertinent.
sure. Well, as background, the roadway lighting, I think it was almost a year ago we came. It was approved to change out to LEDs. That project started in the late fall and was completed, and actually is probably going to be signed off as completed by the DOER within the next week or so, where they'll come in and do an inspection and confirm that we've gotten all the lights. If we missed a couple, they'll be replaced as well, and then they'll sign off on the roadway portion of the lighting. So that's basically replacing all the Cobra heads in town, the traditional street lights. So that part of it's done. Now what wasn't done as part of the grant would be any kind of decorative lighting, any kind of flood lighting. So those have not been touched as part of this project.
Okay.
But the other part of the project, for all intents and purposes, is complete.
It is, okay. All right, fantastic. All Anything further, gentlemen? No? Okay, so Rob, why don't you give us some feedback as to what your concerns are, at this point with the lighting, and we'll pick up, that discussion from there.
So I first wanted to thank you all
Yeah.
for the meeting. Also wanted to just briefly touch on the last meeting we had, I think, which was a great meeting, to have everybody together for the first time, talking about it, and there was a general agreement to several items. One was locating the 3,000 K in the residential areas. That was a big agreement, understanding, very important. And then 4,000 K was going to happen in the downtown areas, and people nodded their heads to that. What wasn't resolved, what wasn't finalized, it was discussed but wasn't finalized, was what happens with the pole mounted, with the lantern, they're about 10 foot high, the lantern fixtures that are being installed in some of the roadways. We talked about it, but we didn't resolve it. So that one was part of that meeting and is brought over to this meeting. So for today, for tonight, what the planning board is looking for is looking for support from the selectmen to, depending on this information, how we proceed to address these issues. That's what the planning board's looking for. The issues that I'm aware of right now is that, so the 4,000 K, there are basically 3 issues. The 4,000 K Cobra heads, they have been installed in downtown areas, and there might be a difference in what the description of downtown is.
Okay.
Because, for example, coming out of, on North Street, they're 4,000 K going up to just a couple lights, I think, past Pearlie. That's basically a residential district. All of those homes going up there are side by side.
So from the lights a little past Pearlie?
I think there's one light past Pearlie before they go to the 3,000 K. So those are all 4,000 K going up through that residential district. And then there are 4 other roads. They're the main roads that come in, and in all cases, they run into the same situation. So that's issue 1. I thought we had agreed that there wouldn't be 4,000 in front of residential homes because of the health, safety, welfare issue.
Okay, so let's address it one at a time. That's kind of how I like to do things. So with that, for you guys on the light department, how do you respond, to that?
Yeah, so we replaced, as we've mentioned numerous times, we replaced in kind. So the area downtown and coming out into commercial areas and kind of what we might call mixed use, government buildings or commercial property and there's certainly some houses mixed in there. They had a whiter light there before. That was so we didn't want to have a departure from what everybody was used to before, and that was by design. So there was a mixed bag of whiter lights down there, high pressure sodiums. I'm sorry, probably not high pressure sodiums, but metal halides. There were a couple of LED pilots that predated me, and there was kind of a mixed bag, but it was a whiter, brighter light down there, and that's what we went back with. That's why we went with the 4s down there.
Okay.
If we changed them, in my opinion, we would actually have a degradation in that area from what people are used to seeing, even the residential.
Okay. Go ahead, Gary.
So you're saying you sort of followed what was there? Because
That's right.
where I'm going is I think I remember just some talk about perhaps certain intersections, I think you may have mentioned, even though they may have been in a residential, they at the time had brighter lighting. And am I remembering that correctly? I don't know.
That intersection right there at North.
I do know we talked about the downtown, but I thought
Yeah.
in my memory, something came up about certain intersections also had higher lights and that you might have been putting some of the 4,000 K
So
there.
there was
It
a
sounds
study.
like that's what you were
Yeah,
doing.
and that's what we tried to do, Gary. There was a study years ago conducted by a vendor that supplied some of the one of the LED pilots about the lumens that have to hit the street in that area and be in state compliance because of that, the intersection of that roadway. And those were put there for that reason, so I was reluctant to change that.
Sure.
Have we got any complaints from those people in that area?
We haven't got any complaints, no.
Okay. All right, so again, just, you wanted to just stay consistent with those 4,000.
Absolutely, the whole project was, we were trying to stay consistent with what people were used to.
Okay, all right. All right, any other questions about that, from the board? No? Okay.
Do you know where they are specifically, or?
The-
I mean, how many 4,000s? I mean, have you got any, in any of the outer
Yeah, so-
line, like down near intersections
we-
near Marlboro and Tenney, or any
Right,
others?
so you can see it, because one's a more of an orange light, the 3000s. You can see the demarcation point there. I'd have to look, because it was just recently done. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head exactly where they are, but they're gonna be consistent with what was there before. That's what I.
But we have a map, don't we, of where the 3,000s versus the 4,000?
Yeah, it.
And that's
probably still being
available if
updated
anybody
right
needs it.
now.
Okay.
That's where we are, so.
Thank you.
I did get some feedback from emergency services. They love it, of course. The whiter light, you can see better. That's what
Yeah.
they're used to down there.
Rob, I know you've had concern over those 4,000 Kelvin bulbs being unhealthy, for residents, which is why, you're so passionate about making sure they're placed, the correct way. I mean, if they're staying consistent with what was there before, I mean, do you concur with, the fact that, no?
No, because I thought everybody agreed, correct me if I'm wrong, that it was 3,000 K for residential.
But I think you had mentioned that it depends on what you consider residential and what's commercial, right? And
But what's
that's the thing.
considered downtown?
Yeah.
If you can visualize from North Street, from the intersection going out North Street, after the bank, it's nothing but homes. And they're close together, they're side by side, and they're across the street. It is a residential district. It is. And I thought we all agreed that for residential districts, you were going to use 3,000 K because of the health issue.
Right. Right.
So that's one point.
Okay.
Another point is, I would love to see, so this is the lighting industry's Bible. Okay, it's a $500 book. I know it pretty well. I would love if Georgetown Light can show me any standard in the industry, show me a standard in the industry that says in that section it has to be 4,000 K and 3,000 K will not do just as good a job, I'm gonna say, okay, I'll buy that. It doesn't exist. So by standards, they haven't followed the standards. That's my second point. My third point is, why would you continue to put something in place just because it already was there? I mean, that logic in the design process kind of fails the designer's credibility. I just don't follow that. So those are the three reasons why I think the 4,000 K in front of residential homes should be corrected for the people who live in those homes.
I got a question. Mr.
Go ahead,
Chairman.
Steve.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think what I'm struggling with here is that, so the chairman of the planning board, this is what he does for his job. Like, he has a Bible on lights. I mean, you can't get more educated with, than that. Why are we so reluctant as a town to work with each other and figure out who has the knowledge, who's got the design knowledge? I know any type of development that's done, we can use Crosby's for an example, right? In their parking lot, there was probably a light plan there. I don't know how we got to the point where we're just saying we're gonna throw up the lights because we're gonna save money, and then we stop there. We didn't think of any other reason, or any other plan of action. And it isn't to say, oh, that's bad, guys, I can't believe you did that. I'm just talking anything we do in this town, if we know that there's an expert in this field, and he's on the planning board, why don't we communicate and collaborate with each other and say, hey, tell me your thoughts on this. What do you think the best is based on your experience? I see you guys out here right now, and you don't look like a happy bunch of people, I can tell you that. You look disgusted, you look like you don't want to be here. I'm just being honest, and I don't know if that's true or not, but that's the sense I'm getting. Why can't we work together as a town? Why do we have to let egos collide and I'm the light department and I'm going to do whatever I want and you got to deal with it? Why do we have that in town?
I don't think we're saying that. I just think we're saying that there's been how many meetings on this topic? 4? I mean, I think he was here twice before us, plus twice with us. There's nobody else here. It's not an issue. We're trying to make the roadways safe. Police and fire think they're safe. We're lighting the downtown at one level and every other residence in a different level. We don't think it's an issue.
Well, that's a good point, though. So the main objective, it sounds like, you want to make the roads safe. Is that what your mission is to make the road safe? Or to give the town a good lighting? What's the mission of the light department in terms of streetlights? Is it just safety?
It's not our issue. It's the Board of Selectmen pay for the streetlights. We just put them up and maintain them. If you told us to take them down tomorrow, we would take them down.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the point. It's what do you guys want? We think we're serving you.
Well, I'm not the expert in it, but
you guys
I was in the minority.
town
I
pays the
voted
bill.
to not do this because we didn't have enough info. It seemed like we voted blindly. But again, it's a board, right? So majority wins.
I mean, if you go to
But
Boxford, they don't have any streetlights. There's no
question that
requirement to have them.
Yeah, the question that I'm just asking is why don't we work together? That's the biggest problem in this town is we work in silos. I don't care if you're an enterprise fund and you're in your own space, you need to work together because we all live here, right?
But I think we have worked together. This is our second trip on this. Actually, it's our third trip. It's their second or third trip.
Well,
I think we.
Well, Peter, with all due respect, though, I don't think we have because the response to his complaint or his concern about the 4,000 was, have we gotten any complaints from anybody? That's not the issue. The issue is that the best lighting plan for this community? It sounds like to me that we picked it based upon safety. That's all we thought about. That's just my 2 cents.
I'd like to comment on the health issue. This is the revised edition. They introduced a whole chapter, Chapter 3. Are you familiar with Chapter 3? Dave, you familiar with Chapter 3?
No.
Chapter 3. I just want to give you the title of it.
While he's looking that up, let me just explain something. Before the high pressure sodium era was the mercury vapor era. Okay, they were a white light. They were actually 4,100 Kelvin and more. They were up for decades in towns and cities all over the whole United States. Just to give you a little bit of background about street lights and where they've come. I would say we had some metal halides, which can be up to 5,000, okay, downtown. I don't know what they were, and I apologize, it predated me. It was a mixed bag of older lights and patchwork. But we may have gone down in the Kelvin rating in some of those areas. So I just wanted to bring that up, just so you understand that it might not be the change you quite think it is.
So the comment from Peter, one of the commissioners, that there is no problem with the lighting. So the Chapter 3, photobiology and non-visual effects of optical radiation. It's a whole chapter in the Bible for the lighting industry on the health of these lights. It's throughout this book. It's in the foreword. Then there's the AMA article that I gave to you guys that came out with an unprecedented statement saying the health effects. The AMA article is not just their own, they have no dog in the fight. They're about people's health. Their paper, their peer-reviewed paper, is based on the shoulders of, I think there was 25 peer-reviewed articles into their paper. Lately, most recently, another report came out on now they've made a direct link between the 4,000 K and actual physical harm. They've made a direct link. not just circadian rhythms. So
Well, a
it's
direct link
it's
to
just
streetlights with 4,000K, or a direct light to 4,000K?
hmm,
A direct light to streetlights? A direct link to streetlights?
to 4,000K lighting
Streetlights.
streetlights. Yeah, yeah.
Can you share that with us?
Sure, I gave them the AMA report. Yeah, yeah,
Oh, you're talking about the AMA report?
yeah. And I'll get you that report too that I'm
Mhm.
talking about. Yeah, it's new. Yeah, it just came out. So my point is, this isn't me. This isn't the planning department. The planning board is basically your board that's charged with the built environment of this town and the health, safety, welfare of this town. And what we're trying to share with you folks, which I thought everybody nodded to, hi Kip, by the way,
Hey.
which I thought everybody nodded to last time, was the 4,000s were not gonna go in front of residential homes. I thought it was a done deal. So that's the issue.
Are there any other spots in town that you feel the 4,000s are in? Other than
No, they did
those
what
residential areas around town, I mean the center of town?
they did what they said they were going to do in terms of downtown, but they defined downtown coming out of the main streets a little longer. Coming out from downtown out North Street, they went a little longer than I would consider downtown because it's residential. And then out West Main, they went in front of a couple residential homes. And in each of the conditions, you can see where they've gone in front of residential.
So we're talking about a confined space, you know, of center of town, and we have, well, you know, 4 corners, right? So 4 streets, you know, that, so you know, what we're talking about is that, you know, you're saying that the lights, the 4,000, have just extended a little bit beyond what you would consider the commercial, you know, kind of space in the
I
center
would
of
say
town.
not what I consider. The road classification system by the IES would consider their standards for how they define these roads. They would not define that road from North Street out the same way that the rest of downtown is lit. And that standard is in here. It's also in the other standards, AASHTO, American Association of Highway, and ANSI. Those are the 3 main standards, but that's the Bible. These aren't, I'm not just pulling these out of my hip that I'm matching what was there before, we thought it would be nice. It's the industry.
Okay, and for people who weren't here, and for those maybe watching, what health hazards are we talking about specifically? Like, what can these lights? How do they cause health hazard?
Well, it has to do with the circadian rhythms, and that what they found is that basically all life forces need to basically regenerate, so they calm down, they shut down, and then the body systems does what they're supposed to do. This has trees, anything biological life. And what happens with the 4,000K is it stimulates the biological rhythm so it doesn't shut down. And then other systems start breaking down because of that. The paper that I was just talking to you about is a new paper. This industry has been taking off at light speed, and it's been generated by an industry that's, well, I won't go there. So that paper just came out, and that link off the top of my head, Joe, I can't remember, and I don't want to say incorrectly what they linked it to, but they specifically linked it to a disease.
Okay. All right, Gary, I think you had a question.
Well, I just wanted to, again, clear up. I myself, I may think of residential different than you did, and I thought that we kind of were in agreement that there may have been some other intersections in town that had the higher ones. I believe I remember it that way, Rob. But, you know, but as to what you said, there are lights, and, you know, I've done a little homework. I went and met with Dave before the meeting where you guys came to find out what I could. Went for a ride around with Rob. He asked if I'd go for a ride around, and I learned a lot about lights and saw a lot of lights in town, and we talked about some other things. But it gets back to, I think, number one, what he's looking for is that, I think going forward, that we have, as he says here, some time of I don't know if it needs to be called a master plan, but we do come up with some way that we all plan before we do this again. You know, and I understand what you were saying, Dave. You know, you don't want, for like the pole lights are in town, you don't want 5 different brands of them. You want something that you can easily replace, and that's understandable.
I think where we're in the same place is that, as I said at the beginning, we've done roadway lighting now. If we want to argue about a couple on the fringe of what everybody considers the downtown, we can put 3,000s up on the, we can change the 4s to 3s. But I think we're talking about a handful of lights potentially that stretched
Sounds like that.
one or two poles beyond where everybody
That was the
agreed.
point of the question.
Yeah.
I don't think
But
we were
the,
talking
but
about
the
a big
reality
space.
is that the next step, and hopefully the DOER steps in and brings some money to the table like they did with the first round, would be decorative lighting like the lantern style and flood lighting. Those are the two places that haven't been changed to any form of LED. Now, Dave's to replace the existing lanterns as they break, we've grabbed, it's again more of a pilot thing than anything that, if a lantern breaks, we've been replacing it with some form of an LED. But going forward, as the planning board approves new developments, I would say that it's easier for us to work together to pick a standard. Our only concern from the light department's perspective is that we're not picking 16 standards. We don't have the space, the money, or to stock different kinds of lights. So if there's a recommended type of light that would go into any new subdivision, and then what we would do is go backwards over time, and as other ones broke, we could replace existing ones with that same style light. And we have no problem with picking the right light for that part going forward.
Oh, that's great to hear. Peter.
Again, our only concern is that there's not 16
No,
different
absolutely.
kinds.
And I said earlier that he has the Bible, right? So, but, there are other things that we have to consider, right, David? You said if a certain area it needs to be there for whatever reason, right? That it may not file a standard, but that's where the compromise comes in, right? And you say, hey, I think that's a great plan, but here's the things that we have to be concerned about as a life department. And you build a plan. You build a bylaw is what it is. Isn't that right, Rob?
Yeah,
It's a bylaw that the town approves, and then we go forward, and we probably won't be here with, with these types of issues.
I
So-
concur. Now, I
I'm glad
don't
we
know,
all
I don't know
like
if
that.
you want this or not, Mr. Chairman, but, so this stuff is copyrighted. I can't just copy it and turn it over. But what I did do is I copied the title pages and then the tables of contents. And I highlighted in the table of contents the chapters that are appropriate. I have 3 copies. I couldn't make any more than that. I have one for you folks, one for this table, and one for you folks. If you want those, I'll hand those out to you now. And then if you read them and you want more information, just let me know. But I can't just copy the book. So what I'm gonna give you is a few.
Okay, and while you're doing that, Doug, go ahead.
There's a couple of things I wanted to address. One is, we've already talked about the definition of the downtown. I think everybody has a different approach to what is downtown. I mean, in my mind, I always said Elm to Prospect and Pleasant to the post office. That's what I consider the downtown. Now, there are homes in there, but I mean, so that's easy to see how that may have got overlooked. Right. The second thing I wanted to ask is, who owns the streetlight?
We do.
Who pays for it?
Well, the town.
Yeah, it's part of the capital plan. I mean,
No, but so who pays for it?
The town,
Taxpayers.
taxpayers.
So you don't,
they,
you don't
they
know
pay for
that.
they pay for the energy and the
Electricity.
upkeep of them.
So who
So
pays
we
for
provide
the,
a service.
who pays for the fixture head? I wanna clear this up. This is an important
Yeah.
question.
That's what I'm asking. Who pays
Yeah.
for the
Pay for
streetlight?
it.
Yeah.
It's embedded in
So
the
they,
rate.
so they absorb that cost and they give that to the town for free?
No, it's embedded in the
No,
rate.
it's the
the rate.
calculation.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so the taxpayers pay for it. Is that correct in the end?
Well, in the end, the
Yeah.
taxpayers pay
Yeah.
for
Oh,
everything.
well, no, but really,
Yes.
no, but really.
It's embedded in the rate.
So what I'm saying there is there's reasonable argument to say that the townspeople own those lights. They pay for them. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, my question's answered. I mean,
Thank you.
I didn't know who.
Glad you asked
who
it.
paid for them and who didn't, or who,
So this-
who owned them or whatnot, but.
So
hold
this
on.
is, I'm sorry.
Hold on one second, Rob.
I'm sorry.
So, getting back to those extraneous lights that may be 1 or 2 beyond, but I know Rob's idea of the downtown is a little more compact.
It's
than
not
mine.
my idea. It's the.
Well, no. What we
Okay.
talked
I
about the
just
other
wanna
day,
keep the personal part out. It's not
we
me.
had a difference in where we considered downtown. All right, Yours was a little, your idea was a little more compact than mine.
Yeah,
All right, that's all I was saying.
yep.
But even so, what are we talking about? 8, 10 lights, a dozen at most?
Sounds
That's
about
what I would guess, yeah, I mean,
Now, I
Should
did,
replace them.
I did, and I do know, because I talked to Dave, and I do know there are only a certain number of light heads that were available via the grant. It wasn't every light known to man. They said you can have this, or this, or this, or however many.
Types, yeah.
believe
They-
The
there was
different
a
types,
election
right,
that
right.
we would choose from.
So, I'm just wondering, and Dave, you and I spoke a little bit about this today, if there's some type of a existing add-on, like a cap, that can pop in, that's maybe frosted, we talked about this too, Rob, that may be frosted, that might be less expensive than replacing the head, but would diffuse that 4K light a little, make it a little softer. Kind of like your frosted light bulb, you know?
I guess we'd have to look at if there's a handful that, it might just be easier to replace them
Yeah.
with the 3,000 kelvins and not have to,
Right.
What I can tell you, Doug, about that is you can't, I talked with the manufacturer, you cannot change the glass out. But what you can do is you can add a dimmer to each one. So that is available in the industry, and that is a standard, but you can't change the glass out, so there is that option too.
Right, so I just wanted to kind of shrink this issue down to what it is. Other than that, everything looked great in, as far as I can see in the town, with the 3Ks. And then there was some, you know, those 4 that went beyond where I would consider the downtown. But if that can be straightened out, then, and then going forward, like, you know, Selectman Sadler was talking about, that we just all work together to.
I mean, I think the hope for these lights is that they're 10-year lights. I mean, the idea behind LEDs is that not only are they lower wattage, but they last a lot longer from a maintenance perspective. So hopefully we're not having this conversation for 10 years on the roadway lighting issue.
no.
However, and again, the lantern or subdivision style lighting and floodlights haven't been dealt with. And as DOER hopefully kind of gets to that game next, which this is supposed to wrap up, but all the work's supposed to be done by July 1st, and so that's part of the grant. And the hope is that in the fall they might issue a new grant. So by then, maybe we've identified a new standard for the lantern style or even the floodlighting. And yeah, I mean, we're happy to work together on that.
So quickly, Steve had a quick point.
Steve had a quick one.
No, I'm just going through here the items, and I think I think a majority of these are talking about what the plan's gonna be, right? What's the plan moving forward, right? And,
There's
you
one
know-
item in there that's missing, but go ahead, and it's a small item.
all right, well, hold on. Here, we got complete installation of the 3,000 K light fixtures done. 4,000, only in the downtown area, right? We agreed to that, and then we're saying that there are ones that are installed outside of a downtown. You guys have agreed to replace those.
Well, I think the only question I have for you guys, for everybody, is who's going to define those fringe ones, and where does the fringe start, and where does it, you know what I mean? Because we thought we defined
Isn't
it.
there a definition in the?
Well, that's
in
the thing.
Bible?
I mean,
Yeah, but
see, and it goes back to kind of what another point that I had was, you know, health hazards. Anybody who has listened to me, which aren't many, right? You know, that have listened, you know, knows full well that, you know, my main concern is the well-being of everybody in town. Okay, so when you know, folks like Rob, you know, question health hazards, you know, that are in place. All right, I open my eyes. Okay, and if you ever have an instance where, you know, these, you know, 4K bulbs are installed, and meanwhile, you know, we'll call it the Bible, right? But in the Bible, it says they shouldn't have been there in this area, you know, close to downtown. I don't know if that opens up the town, you know, to any
But you have to
liability.
remember,
And-
through the whole heart of the downtown, we have
Yeah.
mixed use. There's people that live right in the downtown. So it's hard to, again.
There's not gonna be a perfect solution.
Right, that's what I
and-
mean.
and-
That's why I'm saying, who's gonna define where the fringe starts and ends? We thought we took it to the right spot.
Yeah.
If we didn't, who's gonna pick the 3 or 4 that you want us to replace going around the outside?
That's gonna be in your plan, right? In the master plan for roadway lighting, right?
That
Well,
could be,
what-
that could be addressed then, I suppose.
I don't
So
think-
you're just
But-
But
talking about
what-
the handful?
Yeah, we're talking about the
Yeah.
ones now,
I
and
mean, I
We
think. it
went
could be-
back with a like thing that was there,
Gotcha.
okay?
can
So-
I make a suggestion though?
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I was
Rob-
gonna make a point.
Rob has a cool car that you could just someone go in with Rob and he can drive you, and point them out because we've all made that right.
Yeah.
So
So what I'm getting at is, we're likely to get a complaint. Okay, we could possibly get a complaint, and it could actually be from a resident.
Yeah.
They've been looking at this light for a long time, and now it's going to change to something else. And then if they happen to have a a commercial entity across the street from them, they may definitely complain. Look,
Yeah.
this is as
Yeah.
bright as
And-
it was, and this is what I was used to. And we ran into some things like that. They weren't really complaints. People they had their front lawns lit by the old type of streetlights, which were never supposed to do that, and they missed it.
look at Village Pizza, right? So right across the street, you have residences.
Residential, that
Yeah.
was my exact point. right
And then
there.
you have Village though.
You
you know,
clear
And
it.
I think
Clearly not gonna
emergency
be able to do
services should
that.
be involved in something like
Clearly
this.
not
They
gonna
should
be able to
agree
do
too.
Um,
So it seems like to me that this can be taken care of, the extraneous lights. And then it's a matter of coming to an
Yeah.
agreement on what we do going forward.
Yeah, listen, folks. Again, this was again a conversation, and I like the way the conversation is going. And I would because I really think we've exhausted this. So I think at this point in time, Chairman Hoover, Peter, whoever you want to, kind of put in charge of this, get together. Okay, we're gonna put the onus on you guys. If you guys are okay with it, okay, to identify, those lights, that are concerning. Okay, now take those lights near Village, right? If you guys aren't gonna, agree, with that, because I understand your point, Dave. With that, that's I can understand that as well. And
I think we're talking about the fringe at the ends of the streets that we're
Yeah.
talking.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
Peter. There's
Yeah.
agreement. there.
So, I want to put the onus on you guys to communicate from now on, and kind of just hash this out. Make any corrections on the 3000s, and and I think that we can move forward. Gary.
I know you're saying you don't want this back here again, but one of the things Rob's looking for is a roadway lighting master plan, and I think without moving something of that forward, it's gonna be back here again.
No, a master plan is different than just addressing this one issue now, right? In what is up there right now. Yeah,
We're not
we
taking
can
that off the table.
No, absolutely
Okay.
not. I think we should, and that was a good recommendation. But again, that comes down to communicating and
everybody's
putting
on the
that
same
together,
page.
right? So, but for now,
I'll
yeah, fine.
volunteer for the light department.
Thank you, Nick. I appreciate it. Yeah. So, Nick and Rob, if you can,
Welcome to
Nick,
the Light Commission.
Rob, Nick, get it done. And again, guys, we appreciate it. We want to again make sure the town's residents are protected, and we're doing the right things by the residents. So.
And by the way, for the record, they've appointed a new person, Chad Cunningham, to be the sort of the public relations person when you call and talk
Yep.
to them now, and he's a new person in that position.
Yep.
He's great. Peter, he was a great choice. So
Great.
he's been wonderful to work with.
Great.
Well, I want to thank you first.
But I'm not.
Oh, go ahead. I'm
You're not done
sorry.
yet?
You mean
Okay.
No, but I mean, just be aware that. So you said this is the last meeting we're having.
Yeah.
And so,
it will be.
and so I'm going with that. That this
Yeah.
is the last meeting. So,
Yeah.
so let me finish what I was saying. So this
Okay.
is this. Here's ASHTO standards. I'm sorry. Let me take 1, 2 for you guys. Here's this is
Good. You get
Nancy?
to increase your paper collection.
Awesome.
which actually was IES, and then this is IES. This is the handbook. So that's for that. The standards.
There you go.
In terms of, so that was
these
the
in the
first issue,
reading
4,000
file.
K. The lanterns, the consistency issue, there are two issues there, and Peter has already addressed one that, you know, we can come up with a new one versus these 4,000 LED lanterns that are being used from here on in. We can come up with a new prototype that's acceptable, and we can use a pilot study to do that. But there's in places like Little's Hill, there are existing neighborhoods that have those 10-foot-high lanterns that are the old style lanterns, and they're the yellow glow. And when they have been breaking or one has been added for whatever reason, they've been replaced with these bright white 4,000 K lanterns. And on just the issue of consistency alone, you need to be able to respond to these existing neighborhoods, because you're not gonna be changing out all of their yellow pole, their lantern-style fixtures to a new fixture. So it would seem to be a very easy thing to find a fixture, lantern style, that kind of resembles what they have as a neighborhood when you replace theirs. I can show you one that is down, when you go out 133, go over the highway, and just before you get in, you know, you're going into Raleigh on the right, there's a development. They have a lantern that has that yellow glow, and it's LED yellow glow. It's a 3,000 K LED, actually, and so they exist. So there's that issue of existing subdivisions with old lanterns, being able to match those, correct the ones that they didn't match. And then there are new projects, which is we will come up with a new,
Yeah.
which Peter has addressed, on board with that.
But how easy is it to match those lanterns, the existing
We're,
ones?
we're not gonna carry half a dozen different heads.
Not saying half a dozen, two.
Okay, but
Two.
we have an LED head that we use in residential developments, new underground developments. That was chosen as a replacement for the old 70 watt high pressure sodium by our engineers. Okay, so that's what we put in our specification, that's in one of our governing documents. Okay,
Okay.
that's what we stock.
Okay.
So when we lose one, when one gets broken or burns out, we replace it. And through attrition, they would all be the same color, but yeah, they're off in color as we replace them through. But, you know.
Looks like a
But-
mosquito magnet, Dave.
But
It really
I guess
doesn't.
the hope would be that let's find the new standard,
Right.
and then we can address the one-off issues. as we go.
absolutely.
The
Absolutely,
idea,
Peter.
the idea would be to get to the new, what would become the new subdivision standard fixture going forward, and then we could figure out how to deal with the ones that have been breaking on the backside.
What's in Turning Leaf? What they put in there?
Turning
That
leaf
light.
that's the new one, that's the 4,000 K lantern light. If you walk up under those and look up, they will damage your eyes, that's a fact. It's a fact.
Staring at the eclipse.
Don't look up.
Yeah, those were spec'd by our engineer and approved by the project, and that's what we put in. We have got no complaints about them,
Okay.
nothing but compliments about them. So.
Well, as Peter said, moving forward, we spec out, and
So-
and again, it's ongoing communication, with Rob and his group. We can hash that out before anything happens. Go ahead, Rob.
So that was the second issue, the lanterns. And then the third issue has to do with a plan moving forward that everybody can agree on. And the IES, this is from 2011, but it's the model lighting ordinance, the MLO that the IES put out. It gives you a lot of great information for how a town should be doing this. And it's from these guys. And so I didn't copy the whole thing, but I'll be happy to do that if it helps you. But I'd like to, for the town, to be moving forward to that kind of an idea.
See, now that's something, Gary, that we can certainly get together again and. Oh, just for me again? Okay.
Yeah, just you and all the papers, man. So, Mr. Chair, are you done,
The
Rob?
last thing was just making sure we're all on the same page, so for future communication with the planning department, if questions or issues come up after the work for the grant is done, which you're basically done. But for anything now that's new, from
Yep.
here on in, starting tomorrow, the communication process, I just want to make sure I understand from the planning boards how it's happening, where it's happening. No, we're not coming back here to you.
Please don't.
I understand. But I just want to make sure that that's
Yeah.
all clear with everybody and everybody's in agreement.
No, no doubt, and again, probably should have been done first. Go ahead.
I think that Nick volunteered to work with you
On the fringe
On
lights,
the
on the
fringe
fringe
lights.
lights, yeah.
I think the only issue left is picking a new standard for the subdivision lights, any new subdivisions, that we pick a single standard and then we work backward, you know, we'll retrofit going back as need be, and going forward, we'll have a standard kind of light, so we only end up with one light.
Yeah, and I'll leave it to the guy right next to you. I mean, you know, I don't think the board of selectmen have to be, you know, even involved with that. You know, I think planning board,
Would a
you know,
board
should
of,
spearhead
would
that.
someone from the Board of Selectmen like to be on in part of those meetings?
For me, not even a little,
Well,
That's fine.
because I know nothing about it. So
standards.
yeah, that's the thing. We know
I mean,
nothing
if you
about
want
it.
me
It's
to
not,
tell you what my opinion is, but that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, unless anybody else does. I mean, I'd do it if I knew
That's
anything
fine.
about it.
Just-
So I don't think I could add anything to it. You know, so. You know, certainly the planning board, that's, you know, that's your expertise, along with our
So,
planning department, so.
the planning
let
department
both of you
will-
guys.
Talk with Chad or with you, Peter?
We'll figure it out. We'll let you know. You
Okay,
can,
so I'll wait-
you can
I'll
email me directly, but we'll figure out
Well,
who should be the right.
Listen,
Okay.
pick some heads that you like and you think comply, and send them for our review, because I'm still gonna
Well,
have.
I don't, I have no intention of picking heads. I mean, that's your job.
I think, honestly, I agree.
Well, then,
I
think we
we
should-
picked them already.
I think we should look at some,
This is who you gotta work with.
I think what we should do is look at the require, Rob, what I think we should do, the requirements that you think should be fulfilled in a newer style light. We'll see if there's,
That's what I can give you.
Yes,
The
if you-
requirements, and you guys pick the fixture.
and we'll take a
That's
look at it.
perfect,
Yeah.
that's perfect, and we'll send it back, you see what you think.
Well,
Yeah,
hopefully
but
we
I'm
can
gonna-
sit down around a table and do this. Can we do that?
It doesn't really matter, I mean.
No, it does matter. It does matter. For communications, for being together, for working together, it does matter. Can you guys do that? Okay, great.
So see, this is the thing though, but when do you do this? I mean, do you go to their meetings or you go to their meetings?
We'll have to find a meeting time that works for both of us. Now, I know, you know, in addition to the planning department, I work during the days, and then I have meetings because I do this work. I go at night, so my nights are shot, and I'm not gonna be making 7 o'clock meetings, but I'll compromise, and I'll find a time during the day, if they can compromise and find a time during the day to set up a meeting. So I'm willing to compromise all the way around.
I heard we had a lot of sub shops in town, so you can pick one and go have lunch.
Perfect.
All right?
If I might, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
First, I'd like to, first of all, thank Rob and Planning Department. You guys work diligently, hard. There's nothing perfect in life, so you guys do your work. The Water Department is trying to do the best they can do with what's happening over there. You guys, the Electric Department's been a great partner to the town with all the things that they do for the town. And the veterans and,
Agreed.
you know, so I just want to thank you all for what you do, and that we can certainly figure out these problems if we put our minds to them, where everybody walks away with a fair negotiation.
Sounds good.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming. We certainly appreciate it.
Did you want us to stay for the next discussion, or are you gonna talk to?
I'll leave that up to you. If you want to stay, absolutely, you're certainly welcome.
I'll switch chairs with Nick.
Jim Ruba, thank you very much.
Rob,
Thank you for being.
Rob, I'll get your contact information from Mike and shoot you an email.
Peter, thank you, David. Thank you.
What's his name? The tall guy with the brown hair. That's talking to Peter.
I have no 45 minutes.
Yeah, I can't remember his name. Can I make a comment?
Yeah.
Yeah, before we get going, Steve, I just want to congratulate you. Steve, you are the new town engineer?
Danvers, yes.
Danvers.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. So, guys, once again, so we had discussions, you know, before town meeting. Once again, just about, you know, communication, you know, and you know, I said after town meeting, it would be great just to, you know, have a conversation with you guys about what's going on, you know, with the water department. You know, what steps are being taken to improve, you know, water quality. As you know, we have a number of people in town that don't feel like anything's going on, you know, with water, right? So, you know, again, just, you know, a casual conversation, you know, about that. maybe a conversation about, where everything stands with the light department, just to update our folks that might be watching and for the board. And then any questions, that we have for the board as well.
Sure.
Okay?
First off, I want to apologize on behalf of the water department for not showing up to town meeting in time. By the time I got there, our article had already passed. I was at another town meeting. But we didn't communicate that well amongst ourselves. We're usually all there, and then we didn't have a manager, and then nobody was there. So we do apologize for that. That was not a good look for our department. That being said,
Thank you,
yeah.
Nick.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about some of the improvements first before we get into the merger. So as you're probably aware, Long Hill water tank is underway. They're doing well out there. They had some tough site issues, but they're doing pretty good. They should be done by
October 2018. They're pretty much on schedule, so that's when their substantial completion date. They hope to have everything online by the end of October.
which that includes the dismantling of 2 existing structures as well. There's a tank on Ball. There's 2 tanks on Ballpate. One of them's coming down, and then there's that steel tank right on Ballpate when you turn off of a 133. That's coming down.
Okay.
Is there anything that's gonna replace it, or that's just?
Well, the Long Hill tank
Oh, Long Hill's gonna
is replacing both those, and the location changed to better support our hydraulics.
I see.
Get two storage in both ends of town.
Gotcha.
So that's from a storage standpoint. Right now, we're out to design on some water main improvements. Again, that's to improve flow and water quality. There's 3 projects that we're looking at, but we're in the design stages there right now, so it's probably a little ways off before that's undertaken.
That will include Summer Street, High Street, increasing those sizes of the mains, and then also looping the dead end between Lake Street and Old Jacobs.
Okay.
So yeah, we feel one of our problems is you got everything on one side of town. It's trying to get through the center of town to the other side of town, and it's only got two fingers. So this was going to add another direction for the water to flow between the treatment plant and.
Nick, was that based on a study that was done, or is it
Yeah, we
proven
have-
fact already, or
We have hydraulic model.
Yeah. Okay.
We've hired plenty of consultant engineers to give us advice over the years, so kind of just assembling all those documents and ideas and come up with a plan.
Okay.
That's the water mains, storage, our sources, so our wells. Right now, after our last meeting, we did a study to kind of identify redundancies and capacity in our wells and shortfalls if we were to lose one. Right now, we look all right, but we do want to make sure that in the future we don't run out of water, obviously. So we're in the process of probably replacing a well that's permitted for more yield, but we can't get it out of the infrastructure that's there right now. So it'll give us redundancy, it'll give us capacity. So that's in the process right now.
Okay.
Again, that's beginning stage.
Yeah, go ahead, Gary.
Area of town, I mean, any plans for a well in a different area of town?
We're looking for water. We just there's not, And if there is,
I thought there was some,
yeah, we
you
hired.
purchased some land also, not just for the water tank over on that side of town, but I thought also, I must be wrong.
Well, it's possible, but the problem is we try to get all our water treated and filtered.
Also, it's a treatment
So,
plant.
yeah.
It would be piping.
It wouldn't do us any good to sink a well
Yeah, I see.
in a spot that it's going to give us iron and manganese out in the
Have
system.
to spend millions.
Without,
just to-
yeah, we'd have to pipe it all the way back to,
Okay.
to West Street. So there are studies that we've done to identify other sources, and none of them have come back to be worth it. We can do replacement wells that'll give us much more yield
Okay.
and are already piped the treatment plant. So that's the avenue that we're taking right now.
Thank you.
30 years from now, it could be a whole different conversation. So yeah, that's it on the wells, on the sources. I don't know if anything to add there.
No, just we did have a consultant come in and they did an expansive study on our pass system and why we think some of the wells are not pumping at their capacity. The easiest solution right now looks like we're just dropping, like Nick said, putting another well close that we're permitted to with the DEP. Hopefully that, like you said, give us some redundancy, just in case we ever have to have a well down. We know that two out of the 3 wells can provide enough adequate water supply for the town. in an emergency situation.
And then kind of the final piece of the puzzle is that treatment plant, which was built in 2001, I believe, which does a great job of removing. We have an iron and manganese issue in town. That's what we're trying to remove,
Yeah.
and it does a good job of at removing that. But there is a lot of operational need there as far as backwashing. So we're always looking at ways to try to improve things at the treatment plant, process of the treatment plant, operational efficiencies, the backwash cycles. That a lot of that costs a lot of money. So we've done like the low hanging fruit that kind of improves things. But every now and then we've had some operational issues that have let them iron out of the plant. I've seen a couple of them on Facebook already, which months ago. But I think that's where most of our complaints come from. I think our everyday water filtration and treatment does the job, and then we have these operational hiccups that lead a slug of iron out into the system, and it sits in the pipes.
Yep.
That's a good question. The Long Hill project, will that, I know the people like towards the Byfield line, right? The end of the line there is where
Yep.
they have the most issues. And I think the way I understand it is that whatever breaks down the iron and the manganese, it kind of loses its, is it the chlorine?
Disinfection, yeah.
Yeah, that breaks down, it comes back, they get the discolored water. Is the tower going to improve that because it's closer to that part of town, or
It
is
could.
that a separate issue?
It could be both.
Okay,
So the tower could give us a spot for chlorination,
okay.
which we're allowed to re-inject that.
But also, if you're at the end of the system, it just sometimes that's where a lot of any sediment's
sit
going to end
there.
up building and sit
Yeah,
there. And so that's
okay.
why we have to have a seasonal flushing program as well to flush out that sediment. And sometimes that does
Right,
stir up
okay.
some dirty water as well.
Because that's where I mean, all the complaints that I get are just people that are in that area, and I tell them, well, you're at the end of the line, but I don't really know if there's any plan to maybe create a loop or something, or.
Yeah, we're always looking for new ways to try and change the direction of flow, so it's not just unilateral, it's bilateral, it comes from different directions, so it'll improve the quality, and tank may be able to take a little bit of that curse off, but not entirely.
Okay.
Also gets extreme high pressure down there.
It was a lot,
50 pounds or better sometimes.
Oh, wow, really?
So, guys, is it just the distance that the water travels? Is that when Steve and I became selectmen, we had a conversation with your prior manager, and we actually asked him, what would it actually take, to alleviate the issues that are currently in the water. We didn't get any feedback on that, but I still ask myself that question: is there an ultimate fix? I guess for fixing even that side of
a lot of money.
that.
That's the problem.
Right.
So
I mean,
you need to increase your treatment plant capacity. Number one. Our sources have a lot of iron and manganese levels, and the whole region does.
Yeah.
In the whole Northeast. So you got to treat for that. You got to filter it out. You need to replace water mains. Some of the older water mains.
how much money are we talking about? Seriously, I know it's a lot of money,
Yeah,
right? But I mean, we talking millions? We talking hundreds of thousands?
Tens of millions.
Tens of millions. Right. Okay.
So
See, that's the thing. Again, not, a lot of people like myself just don't know that, right? And Steve and I had a conversation, about educating, the town a little bit, and maybe doing a better job in educating,
Yep.
The town, whether it be through social media, maybe quarterly newsletters. Although I don't know, I'm not sure how many people would read those or not.
So
but,
we have quarterly newsletters.
See, that's the thing, and
But it's
I don't know.
relatively new. Over the past year, we have a Facebook page now.
Actually, I knew that because I read
we
one,
do
but-
realize that we need to do a better job at communicating and educating.
Well, because you see, there was a period of it was like 2 weeks, and then again, I think we spoke about this. Is that it seemed like every day, someone was pounding you guys over the water
Right.
quality, and everyone was like, "Why is this? Why do you have an issue and I don't?" And going back and forth. I know I got calls, from it, and I don't know, call the water department, right? I'm not. Steve says he's going. I'm sure. Gary and Doug being selectmen for a while. They get it. I just think education, becomes really important,
Yeah.
in town in letting people know. Listen, we're doing a lot of things to improve this.
Yep.
But unfortunately, it takes tens of millions of dollars to ultimately do what we got to do.
And we'll get there.
No.
We have identified what needs to be done. We just can't do it all on day one, and it'd be a huge rate shock. So we're trying to stagger it out over time. Do the projects that are most critical first, and make the best of what we got for infrastructure.
Sure.
We're not alone. Every water department in the state is over 100 years old, and they're all facing similar challenges.
Right. Right. Go again.
Are you prepared? We should probably be talking to you, because we're gonna have a potential bottler in town, and
We'll sell 'em
probably
water.
gonna be, have they talked to you at all?
No, they
Or-
have not, no.
Yeah, but they probably should. I mean, is there any restrictions on what somebody can use on water or anything of that sort?
No.
I mean, okay.
I mean,
Depends on what the
business-
process
So if
is.
they're coming, we can say, yeah, we got plenty of water, guys, don't worry.
Well, we should be at the table.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Plenty of water could be. I don't know what that means. so.
We don't know where they can go, do we?
Yeah.
What you wish for.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I know
mean-
how much capacity they would actually
No, that's all I'm
need on
saying.
a day-to-day basis.
You-
Right. I mean, the majority of our revenue comes from residential ratepayers. So any opportunity you have to sell water on a commercial level is beneficial for our ratepayers.
Do you get a different rate for commercial, or are you allowed to?
It's the same rate, but it's
Okay.
I don't know if you're familiar with our rates. Our rates are tiered.
Okay,
And
yeah.
It's really for conservation.
Okay.
To drive conservation.
Okay, so yeah,
So they'll get in the higher
okay, I
tiers
see, yeah, just by
won't
the
pay
tier
more.
system, they'll pay higher, okay.
Yeah. So some of those challenges, I mean, it's probably a good segue into the merger. We have upward rate pressure beyond belief. I mean, the rates they just need to keep going up and up and up. We just raised our rates for the first time, I think, 7 years. Because we've been trying to fight off the rate increases.
Yeah.
But if we don't do anything operationally to save money, look at efficiencies, it's going to hurt the residential ratepayer.
Sure.
So we've struggled for a long time with leadership at the water department. And that's why we've had a couple of different managers there the last, at least 6 years since I've been there.
How's it operating now? I mean,
So we hired, we went out to, for pricing, for a contract manager. We had two proposals sent in to us, two very good proposals.
Okay.
So we hired one of the two, and they're signed an 18-month contract with us.
Okay.
So they just oversee the operations. All the operations staff are still there. So it's like a 20-hour per week
Okay.
job that this company comes in, makes sure things are operating properly, reports to us.
Yep. And when did that commence?
March
March.
of this year.
Have you guys been satisfied with
Yeah.
Yeah,
the output so far?
Excellent job.
Yeah.
How do the costs, what that associate with having a full-time employee? I mean, if you could keep this guy or you keep this company for 20 hours a week, is it beneficial from a cost standpoint or not?
No, it's gonna cost more money.
It's more, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's why we try and not have a full-time 40-hour a week. We have the person drop in at 20 hours, and we're hoping to reduce that.
Right,
once
20
we get
hours
things
a
on
week,
running line.
it's probably break even.
Oh, okay. Who takes the other 20 then? Just the other,
We're just running lean. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
There's a lot of interaction with the board and this firm, which would be nice if the department, I mean, it's every day we're getting emails and questions and calls, and
gotcha,
so right now we're extremely busy with things that we wouldn't typically be busy with.
right.
So, I got on the board 6-7 years ago, basically due to some of the stuff we're talking about. I wasn't happy with the level of service and the water quality that I was getting. And in my mind back then, I had the idea of merging light and water, because I work at the light and water department in Littleton, and I've been there for almost 20 years. So I know of the synergies that exist between two utilities, such as we have here in Georgetown. But I didn't really know the landscape here yet. So we had a leadership change when I first got on. We started making improvements, started getting better, and we've had 2 more leadership changes. And I kind of kind of had enough. And I said, I know I recommended to our board, you know, we should start looking at ways of, you know, saving money, and also, you know, joining the light department because of these synergies that exist. Now, for instance, we both use the same billing system. Is instance number one. We both have 2 office staffs. We have 2 separate buildings, you know, and so on and so forth. We'd have 2 managers. So there's a lot of, and we're both utilities, and we serve the same customer base. So there's a lot of opportunities and a lot of spots that I at least feel that we could save our ratepayers some money and not lose the service to them as well, and probably in fact improve it. So I approached the water board about it, and at first it looked at me like I had 4 heads, but I eventually convinced them, and we took a vote in February or March maybe,
It'll be January, end of
which
January.
passed 3-0. I worked with Mike Farrell and town council on special legislation in a town warrant article, and they passed that 3-0. We had 1 joint meeting with the light department, and I'll correct me if I'm wrong, Pete, but they probably felt that we were moving at light speed, which we probably were. So I think, you know, it was just time to let's let this sit a little bit. And I think especially once we hired that contracting firm to manage the water department, that kind of took the pressure off as far as getting on the spring town meeting. We haven't had any more discussions with the light department. We have a meeting on Thursday, in which will come up, the merger.
I think to that point, though, doesn't that require legislative action from our board? Or no?
Well, from the
Town meeting.
Just from
and
town
from
meeting?
the state legislature too.
Well, for us to put it on.
You
the
have to
warrant.
put it on the warrant.
Right.
Yes.
And then the town has to vote.
Yeah, I mean, I can walk you through the process. I know it pretty well.
Okay.
I've spent a lot of time with lawyers. They didn't want to spend, but
Yeah, I just asked the question because I didn't know if we had to be involved. I mean, if, you know.
we would want you guys to support this, right?
Yeah.
This is a play
Town,
for the water department, light department, and the town.
Yeah.
So if you guys aren't behind this, then the voters won't be behind it. So you know, we see this as an opportunity for our 3 boards to, you know, get behind this, or not, you know, or find the problems with it and
Sure.
and go in a different direction.
Well, it's good to hear.
But yeah, we would need a vote from the water department board, which we have.
Yep.
We would need a vote from the electric light department commissioners. Then you guys would vote on it to place it on the warrant. Then, you know, if say this is going forward, it would pass town meeting. Then that legislation that's already been drafted up by town council would have to get passed at the state house. Then it comes back and goes to the town ballot. So this is a long play.
Process.
It's a long process.
Any type of public meetings, I imagine, public hearings or anything?
Town meeting. I mean, it might not be a bad idea, Gary.
Have an information session.
Before a ballot vote to educate the voters.
So what are you looking at? A year to 18 months or?
That's just
Well-
if everything got approved.
I mean, for all the
So who
steps,
knows?
yeah. I mean,
Yeah, 18 months is probably fair.
I think where the light department is we're still proceeding cautiously. We want to make sure that it doesn't. The concept has all the merits that Nick cited in terms of 2 utilities merging together and for the benefit of the town. We just got to make sure there's no hidden issues. So that's why we as a board tried to slow down a little bit and make sure that we're dotting all our I's, crossing all our T's. Now Nick is on both boards, so there's some synergy in terms of conversation, so that we can make sure we bring ourselves up to speed on any and all issues before we, as a light board, would take that vote, the second vote that's needed to be sure that we support, you know, the merger as well from the light department ratepayers perspective. And then again, there's 6 more steps. You know, there's a whole bunch more steps before it becomes a reality. So there's, you know, so we're at a point where we think there's some merit to it, but we haven't taken that vote yet. So we want to keep understanding all the issues.
And the good thing is, along the way, you can pull out at any point. You know, so say we get a year down the road, and all of a sudden we find something that we don't like. You know, we can. It doesn't need to go forward. It doesn't need to go on the town ballot. It doesn't, you know, if it gets hung up on legislation for a little while, we can always pull the legislation So there's outs along the way. Not that anybody wants to. We want to make sure we have our mind made up prior to exercising these steps. But once you start the process, it's not like you're stuck to it.
Yeah, I'm just curious. I don't even know if you guys have got to this point yet, but are you projecting any cost savings to the community for such a merger, or is it just the merging of two and things?
Yeah, I mean, I had laid those out at that February meeting. I think you were there, Doug.
I was, but I don't have that in front of me.
Yeah, and that was very preliminary. So, but there were some significant savings.
Okay. Well, as we go on, I think we need to.
Oh,
remind
absolutely.
people.
Yeah.
Oh, that, yeah.
Yeah. Steve, go ahead.
Have you guys considered adding the DPW? You talk about synergies, right? Don't those guys usually, aren't they there a majority of the time with the equipment that you use?
No, they help on a water main breaks. That's about it.
Yeah.
And which is about 3 to 5 a year.
Oh, yeah, that's it?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought they did a lot more for,
No.
okay. Have you guys considered it though, or no? I mean, in terms of equipment anyways, right? I figure, the old saying, electricity and water don't mix, right?
I know. I
Is
think
there equipment stuff that you guys can use between the two of you? Because that, I think, would be a big plus, right?
I think if you look at our industry and municipal electric departments,
Yep.
there's a lot more models that mirror light and water than there are light water and DPW. So
yeah.
it's probably a bigger step with fewer kind of maps in place how that would most efficiently work.
Gotcha.
There's maps. I could look Littleton, Templeton.
well, Templeton's a good example because Templeton passed this legislation and went through the same exact process 10 years ago.
So there's a handful of them that have that model that you could follow versus the DPW model is a little bit, I'm not sure if there's many that run them together.
I think that probably worked maybe 20 years ago, 20, 30 years ago, but the water industry has gone a lot more technical with all this filtration and treatment in the last 20 or 30 years.
Gotcha.
So most of our efforts are at the treatment level and not digging up roads.
I'm in Wakefield and I'm a gas and light department, so I have the two utilities also, but it's gas and light. And it's almost the same idea. We were asked to merge gas and the DPW because everybody's digging holes. But the regulatory side of the gas business has exploded. I mean, we filed 36 different reports with the DPW a year now. So that's 3 reports a month on different issues. So we're in a heavily regulated industry now. So that like water makes it a different animal.
Yeah, and I mean, talking about the technical aspects, so what, I can understand the accounting, you get the same accounting system, same buildings, all that, but in terms of the technical know-how, how does that cross between water and light?
I think in terms of the management of craft personnel, I think that's where the benefit. And again, having the core office be the same, the billing systems be the same. I think those are where you're going to drive your synergies and your benefits.
Okay.
I think it's going to take time to get to those synergies too. You're not going to have them on day one.
Sure.
So.
I would say everybody would still be in place that has the proper licensures and operations experience. Obviously our plant, and I'm sure, you guys have your own operations as well, so I don't think that'd be an issue with any technical.
What would day-to-day look like, in terms of, bringing the water department into the light department? Dave, are you heading this up?
That's a good question. I think that remains to be seen. I mean, we have concepts, but I've given it a lot of thought because it may come to pass. It's likely that it will, I think. And it's a good idea. I mean, I agree with it. I agree with everything Nick said. And I think eventually we'll get there, but there's some serious efficiencies that we can gain over time. It's operations. It doesn't frighten me at all to take on a group of people that do something a little different than we do. It wasn't what I came up in. I'm more, I'm on the electric side, but I know a little bit about it. But at my level, that's not what you'd be paying me for. You'd be paying me to manage those crafts, and that I can do.
Okay. All right. Any other questions from the board on that? All right.
Again, the
so-
message is that we're still exploring it. We think it's a
Yeah,
good
still
idea.
talking, you
It's
know.
nothing that's
Okay.
done yet, but. when-
Yeah, I mean, guys, for me, I have two serious concerns, at least initially, and one is what I just asked, right, is, Dave, I know you're a light guy, right, so how does that equate to managing the water department, right? Like Steve said, electricity and water generally don't mix.
I'm a light guy, and I manage Littleton Light and Water, so it can be
Yeah.
done.
Yeah,
And there's a lot of consultants on the water
but you've been
side.
doing it for a while, right, Nick?
Not the water side.
No?
No, some of the Dave I came up on the light side, and then
Okay.
through retirements inherited the water side.
And how long has that been?
4 years.
4 years?
Yeah.
And do you feel like, you
Well, now I'm good, but yeah, it was bumpy in the beginning.
No, and I guess what I was getting is how long did it take you, to really kind of, digest everything that you needed to
Probably,
feel
probably 2
comfortable?
years.
a couple of years?
Yeah. But again, like I said, there's a lot of consultants on the water side, so we wouldn't expect Dave to pick that up on day one. We would have to get him support on the water side to take care of the DEP requirements and all the things that he is unaware of on that job.
Okay.
That's a real concern that you just laid out.
Yeah.
We
I mean,
have-
it was the first thing I thought.
the board of water commissioners have that concern as well.
Yeah. Okay. And then, obviously we have, two very big funds that, are operating. And, coming under one roof is, for me a little concerning, and probably have to have a little bit of a conversation on.
So what are you concerned about there, Joe?
Because they're just, they're that big. I mean, they're, to bring those two together, it seems like, in a small town.
But they don't really come
it's-
together; they stay separate. I mean,
Well,
they're managed by
separately, but together, right? Because you're going to be,
Well, there
water
would
and
be no
light, right?
commingling. We couldn't do that.
Because they're governed by
Against-
different
against
sets of
law,
laws.
yeah.
Chapter 164 would still.
No,
cover,
I'm not
like-
saying we're commingling,
Okay,
right?
yeah, okay.
But again, now you have, two very big funds that are being operated under one roof, right? And, I don't know, I just have concerns about it. I mean, it's a lot
you
of,
think the water fund's that big?
isn't it?
Not really.
No?
No,
I mean, I haven't seen numbers, so I just expected it would be.
it's about $1 million in retained earnings.
Yep. Okay, well, still $1 million.
Oh, absolutely, but it's not. I mean, I don't view these as huge. Either one really as huge funds, but
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, the.
I mean, is
the light
anybody else
plant's
on the
about
board?
9.
What's that?
The light plant's about 9.
Okay.
Yeah, that's our budget for the year, so.
Yeah, I mean, anybody else on the board have?
I mean,
concerns
I think I would probably feel comfortable to hear if you guys have looked at any other options, right? So, as far as doing a merger, it's a big deal, right? It's a big effort. I would hope, I think if it was me, I would say, I got 3 options, or I got 2, and let me look at those and figure out what's the best and for what reasons.
Sure.
So
we have,
not to
Steve-
say that you're not doing that, but that's what I would feel
So
comfortable with.
we've talked about 3.
Okay.
One was the DPW merger, one's the light and water, and one was the complete privatization of the water department, which we're completely against that
Okay.
that option.
Why is that, Nick? And I'm not questioning you, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm just.
You lose local control. You lose control of the rates. You lose people that care about the town and the infrastructure. I don't think there's any case where privatization has been a benefit for the ratepayer.
Okay.
Although you might get your water quality quickly, then they'll come in here and spend the $40 million and then charge it off to the rates.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, any private firm would be chomping at the bit to write you a check for a couple $1 million that would be long gone before you ever saw any benefit from. We take in some cash, they'd have the keys forever.
Mhm.
And then when they're serving you out of South Hadley somewhere and you're waiting 6 weeks to get a truck up here to fix a water main break,
Yeah.
those are the kind of issues you get when you go to that level of service.
Yeah. And I think, just to clarify, I was more thinking, I know there's intangibles, right? So you could say, losing control and you have employees who care about the town. I was looking at it more from a financial impact, right?
Sure.
So what do we save if we do A? What do we save when we do B? What do we save when we do C?
and then add those other components in there. Yeah, it'd be great if we can do DPW, we would save X amount of money, but here's the intangibles that we think aren't gonna work. So stuff like that, that's what I would kinda wanna see, just at least for myself.
Sure.
So-
Well, you know, when we come back in with a more formal plan, I'm sure we can lay out some,
Yeah, that'd be
some other
awesome.
options.
A little more
cool.
specifics.
Cool.
Mike?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, I've had different experience with privatization. Not privatization, but with contract operations. You can control the company as long as you have a good contract. And it's a type of contract where both the town and the company share in the expenses, and the savings. It's an incentive contract for them to make savings to generate back to the town. And you put in your contract that you have to hire your existing staff.
Well, we have, with the union contract that's in place right now with the water union, we don't have the right to do contract ops.
That can be changed.
Renegotiate.
Okay?
But, there's, I just wanted to add that.
Okay.
Didn't want it to be all one-sided.
Yep, okay. All right, anybody else on the board?
Just-
No?
Littleton, what's the population there that you're managing now? I mean, is it similar size or much larger or
Well, it's similar size population, but we have more industry.
more industry? You still have a filler out there? Is it very?
It's Patriot Beverage now, it's Pepsi products.
Yeah. So so you're supplying more water?
Yeah, probably about twice as
Oh,
much as in
okay.
Georgetown.
Kip, you all set?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Gentlemen, thank you again for coming. We appreciate the info. Good luck with the talks.
Thank you.
Congratulations
Thanks for your time,
again.
guys.
Thanks, man.
Nick, thank you for coming up. Appreciate it. All right, gentlemen. I'm glad we actually called everybody in. I think that was productive. You know, especially the first one. You know, got a couple of people talking, and you know, as we've said before, I mean, that's been the problem. I feel for a while, and then you get people in the room and they're talking and things get done. So I'm happy we did it. So anyway, all right, we'll fly through this stuff because we got to get to some appointments. Minutes of May 21st, 2018. Anybody have any comments?
Yeah, I do. Because this looks like executive session minutes.
Let's see.
From May 21st?
They do.
It is, yep. Executive and general
Yeah.
session.
They're
we
both
should
in the
wait.
same one.
I think they just
No, it just
mentioned
listed
that.
it.
It's just
Yeah.
listed as an, what we did that day?
Yes.
Oh, all right,
That-
so there's no minutes from the executive session?
No.
All right.
It's only minutes
Oh, all right.
of the general meeting. It just listed, you had that executive session.
All right, all right. Yeah, I just misperceived what it said.
Yeah,
It
just
gave-
one comment on that, under appointments and approvals, brought it up before, but reserve officer's term to expire 6/30/2019, so it should be 18.
Right, we did do it 18, yeah.
On page 2.
Yep, good catch.
Do we make a motion?
Anybody else? Wait, first, anybody else? Anything? Okay, Steve, go ahead.
Make motion to approve the Board of Selectmen meeting minutes of May 21st, 2018, as presented with the correction stated by Selectman Derny.
On page 2.
On page 2.
Okay, motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
I,
Okay. All right. So we have a resignation of Rayanne Baldwin from the Conservation Commission. Rand, thank you very much for all the time that you spent, on the commission. We certainly appreciate it, and we wish you the best.
Yeah, thank you, Rayanne.
All right. We're going to be going through the town administrator review, but Mike, do you have anything on the town administrator report that you want to throw in?
I do.
Okay.
We had a very important meeting with Moody's last Thursday. This is what
That's what I need.
the Moody's rep was the basis of our discussion. The participants were myself, town accountant, town treasurer, the assessor, and our financial advisor from TD Bank. The reason for the bond meeting, the rating meeting, they want to look at our rating for our municipal bonds. We have to put out $7.3 million in short-term financing. We were hoping to make it long-term financing, but the MSBA hasn't closed our project out yet. And we have to renew these bonds July 1. That's when they expire. We either have to replace them with another one-year bond anticipation note, or go out to, put a 20, 30-year bond out.
Mike, do we have any indication of when that is? When that's going to include?
Now they're saying we'll be on their September meeting.
Oh, yeah. How long has it been?
They've been in class there for 3 years.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, there was some delays in the end there with the punch list. They were in the school, and there was, the board was involved in, one time we actually bought the punch list from the contractor.
Yep.
At a discount, and then worked on it ourselves.
Yeah.
But that, we got hung up with the fields, and that was a self-inflicted delay, almost a year, just for that. And so we couldn't close the project until every last penny was spent. That was the holdup. And then they had to, dot every I and cross every T and make sure they had all their documents lined up. We had some that MSBA never received, proper signatures on them, or complete signatures. It was just, delay after delay after delay.
All right.
So anyway, now we're in the process, we have to do a temporary financing of $7.3 million. That includes $465,958 for the middle high school project. We're rolling in the water tank, $2.6 million. And what we call a cleanup bond for the Pembroke. We knew going in we didn't bond enough because we didn't want to borrow too much. So there's $2.4 million in Pembroke bonding and the $1.8 million for Elm Street. The reason why we're combining the school and the water and the road is issuing costs, particularly for the large bond. If we had to put out a bond for each one of those, we'd be paying $20,000 a piece for each bond. So we're combining them all for $20,000. It's the same issuing cost. we do roll the cost of the issuing into the bond too. But, so they want, the last time we had our bond rating reviewed was in 2014. That was when we went out to bond for the Pembroke School. That was a 26 million,
Something like that, yeah.
24 million
Yeah, someplace
dollar
in there.
bond. And they reviewed basically these same questions. They look at the financial stability of the town. I can give you the very short story. By Wednesday, we will know one of two things. They're gonna issue us a bond rating, our current bond rating with a negative outlook to it, or we're gonna get dropped one rating.
Two.
We're, AA2. I don't know. What the bottom line is, it's gonna cost us maybe 10 to 5 basis points, which is this is for 1 year. It's not very, it's not a big deal. But next year, when these bands expire, now we're gonna have to go out for long-term financing. And, 10 basis points over 25 years will add up. So our best hope is that we retain our current bond rating, and get the negative outlook, and then we know there are things we can do in the next year to get rid of that negative outlook.
And will they cite those?
Yeah,
Those things.
we talked about them in this meeting.
Okay.
What actually, our biggest problem is our reserves have been going down. And they should be going up. Then we're talking primarily our stabilization, tax stabilization fund. That needs, and we've talked about this over the years, it should be between, minimum of 5 to 10% of the budget. We have a $30 million budget. 5% of that is $1.5 million.
On the low side.
Yeah.
Below 4%.
And here's our current reserve situation. The stabilization fund, and we put $100,000 into it last fall, and we're still under $1 million. We're at $941,901.
Yep.
Now, we don't have to get up to the, $1.5 million by next year. That's unreasonable to think that. But we have to have policies and actions in place between now, either in the fall town meeting or definitely by next annual town meeting. For instance, we have a policy, a written policy, that the free cash is, we should be depositing up to 25% of free cash every year into the stabilization fund and into the capital stabilization fund. Moody's suggests, instead of a percentage, we pick a number and stick to it. That's one of their recommendations. And,
How do we come up with that number, though?
Right now, I think it should be $100,000 a year, at least in the state stabilization
One
fund.
step.
Yeah.
Question.
Go ahead,
If
Gary.
I'm right, you're saying that would be a line item. That would be at the annual town meeting, not,
Well, it still has to come from some source. And the,
well, we can't guarantee $100,000 of free cash.
well, we can if we raise the limit, if we add $100,000 to the snow and ice budget line item. So now we're saving $100,000. Instead of $104,000, make it $204,000.
But you've gotta come up with that someplace.
No, that's gonna come, that will come out of the tax levy. You know, and you budget that in first.
I was gonna say, it's almost like we're paying, we're paying ourselves first,
Yes.
before anything else.
You have to take it from somewhere else, though, right?
Magic.
Yeah,
If I may, Mr. Chair, I had one question on what we just approved, and I was gonna ask it under old business, which we've got jumped around. But was there any answer on, I asked a question about the excise tax that's probably gonna be coming in from recreational marijuana and putting that directly into stabilization fund. Did you get that answer?
yeah, you can't do that.
Okay.
They specifically single out excise as a general fund revenue.
But look, there could still be a line item budget in there,
Well,
and we could use that as a source.
but yeah, I mean, we have that source of income. Yeah, the other sticking point was, as the Renee from Sullivan, from our auditor said, they're serious now about OPEB.
OPEB, yep.
So we're gonna have to start making annual, once again, it's, the number isn't as important as the action. We just have to have a policy and do it every
Be
year.
diligent.
Yeah.
They basically told us is that our wealth and income profile as a town, we don't look like the wealthy income town that we are on paper. They're saying towns with our profile should be doing regular overrides for budgetary purposes.
Well,
If we want to keep our bond rate.
Yeah. Well, I think we've done an outstanding job as a town, not doing that. And even the one that we just did, was completely unexpected, completely based on, a crazy world we live in. So I think as a town, we've been doing a great job without it. And, our taxes have been going up consistently as it is, so to have consistent overrides, I mean, I don't see how we could do that.
And
I don't know how any town could do it.
Right now, I'm just reporting, and putting this out there.
Yeah.
And these are things we're gonna have to talk about
Yeah.
over the summer and into the fall.
Mike, have you made this presentation, by the way, to FinCom? Or have they not heard it yet?
No, I haven't
Okay.
met with them yet.
All right.
For a lot of these
Mr. Chair,
questions,
can we ask, if I could, Mike, can we ask Mike to give us what his recommendations are for some of these? You don't have to do it now, but just,
yeah,
prior to discussing it, saying, here's what it.
I wanna
Yeah.
let you know
Okay.
what they said, and yes, I would definitely come back with, recommendations.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, they asked us, what have been the budget drivers over the last, since 2017? And clearly, it's the education funding. It's been, you know, 600-pound gorilla in the room. It's eating up all our revenue. It's up to 52%, expenses, it's up to 52%. And it can't increase 4.5% to 5% every year. Not without operational overrides. One bright light that I tried to press upon Moody's is our move into marijuana economic development. And there are potential revenue streams there that we're going to have to figure out a way how to utilize to maybe help us get these revenue streams on our reserves on a healthy track again. The excise tax, once Healthy Farms starts doing $10 million a year in recreational sales, that's $300,000 in excise tax to the town.
And 300,000 from the hosting agreement.
Right, but so, and I mean, our hosting agreement alone guarantees us a little over $900,000 over the next 5 years. I explained that to Moody's. They say, well, that's all well and good, but show me the money too. I said, well, we got $100,000 this year. That's a start. And we don't have a lot of competition in the state. There's only about 40 towns in the whole state that allow marijuana to be sold or manufactured in their towns. So that could be our saving grace in the next couple years from now.
Well, and I'm also I'm also very big in thinking that I know our economic development group is doing a great job. We have a couple of good opportunities, obviously, with National Ave, potentially with Mellow. I know that still has to be voted by the ZBA. I talked to them at their last meeting about considering this fact, that listen, don't just shuffle the revenue part of this aside, because this could be a very big issue with the town, that where 8,500 people live, rather than just some folks that are against it, as much as I respect their opinions. So the ZBA has that. I did speak with them a little bit about it, and I'm hoping they don't push up. But the whole point is we do have different opportunities that, along with the marijuana side, in combination, could produce some nice revenue for the town, right? I think I had mentioned when this opportunity came around, for Tink. Is that what it is? To come around.
Tink, yeah.
It wasn't the host agreement that excited me. It was more of maybe they would be, purchasing some land and erecting a building, and having that, revenue stream coming in, as well as being, good partners. That's also that's just a fact. So we have a lot of good opportunities. It might take a little while, but that will also, I think, help, moving forward. So.
Yeah, there's an upside. there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and it's not an oncoming train. There's options. So on Wednesday, I should be receiving notification from Moody's, and you'll be the next to know.
All right, and Gary, to your point about the financials, Ed and I just couldn't come up with, we were both a little tight on time over the last couple of weeks. We will be, getting together. Mike, when do you think you're going to present, or are you going to present this thing, this Moody's thing to them?
Their next meeting is the 21st.
21st? Okay.
Yeah.
So, obviously this will happen, before you meet with them, but, I think even more so that we're going to really have to work together, put our heads together and figure out a nice plan. We probably need to put this on the top of our list, in terms of our, what to accomplish this year, moving forward and in conjunction with FinCom, we'll make it happen. One way or another, we'll make it happen. All right.
Yeah, and then briefly, I'm not looking for a response tonight, but I want to put this in the back of your head, and actually probably get a decision at our 25th meeting, because on the 25th we'll be doing a lot of end of the year line item transfers.
Yeah.
I'll be going over them with the FinCom. Both line item transfers have to be approved by FinCom and the Board of Selectmen, as opposed to reserve fund transfers. That's just FinCom. But I want to point out an opportunity, an issue. We have in our annual legal expense line item, we budget $80,000. We've spent $81,347, and we still have 2 more months to go. Typically, May and June are relatively low. I would expect it to be down more in the $5,000 to $6,000 range. We've had some extraordinary expenses this year, primarily, as you can see in the labor column. That had to do with the fact that, number one, we had all 3 unions renegotiating a contract. So you can see right off the bat in July, August, and September, they were pretty high. We had issues with the fire department and with the, and actually I separated out the Conservation Commission investigation hours in a separate category. And matter of fact, there was 1 month in February, the bill was about $4,000, and Conservation Commission actually paid for it out of their own revolving fund. I asked them to consider, the other 2 months, and they balked at that part. But as you can see, what I'm getting at here, we've had $16,278 in legal expenses for marijuana this year. A lot of it was dealing with Greenbridge and the hosting agreement, and they actually did have to have a letter of not cooperation, but a letter of non-opposition. And then earlier in the year, we had a lot of expenses for Healthy Farms. I was finalizing their, when we got pulled into that federal issue, which we haven't heard much of since. That's what those maintenance, they're basically maintenance numbers at the last few months. And then in the second group of the Greenbridge number, that had, though, that 3755 had to do with legal assistance in getting the marijuana bylaw put together, mostly through the planning board. So, I'd like you to consider spending $16,000 of the marijuana money, pay we can reclassify that expense and take it out of the marijuana fund if the board feels that's appropriate expenditure.
If I might, that is legal fees are a direct result of those businesses being in the town. So it's a direct impact. And there shouldn't be any reason that we can't use some of those funds to offset that cost.
Agreed. Agreed. Fair motion?
Is this the exact amount, Mike?
Well,
Do we need to wait
let's wait till the
until?
25th, because I'll probably have
Wanna
at
wait?
least
Yeah.
one more bill,
You do?
legal bill.
Okay.
And then- Yeah, and I'll have Mary prepare a transfer from the fund to, well, she'll prepare the reclassification.
Doug and I agree.
Right.
What about you guys? You guys on board with that? I mean, do you have any issues with it?
Say we haven't come up with a plan yet, and to me, it would be, we're already now chopping away at it, the general fund budget, which, and that may be where it has to go, I don't know, because we're not allowed, according to the state anymore, to just invest it in one place, so
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
no real,
that's right.
there's no real easy answer to it, I
That's
guess,
right.
but.
When I wrote to the committee that crafted the law, and I asked them their intent.
Yeah, you've made that aware,
And I gave them a bunch of ideas, and they nixed every idea: capital fund, reserve fund, take a building down, all the stuff. But and they basically said, well, yeah, you can use it for those things that directly impact from
Well,
business,
that's the
like
thing.
fire, police.
Mm.
And I didn't say legal fees, but legal fees is a direct impact.
That's the thing. It's not going to be easy to even spend it, even if we wanted to. So
Well, it
if
could
we
be.
find that's the thing. If we
It could be
find
something that we
an
end up,
issue,
it could be something that we end up in court over. I mean, you know, we were at first told, do a host agreement. And the rules have completely changed since we started it. And,
Well, updated laws are what you have to follow.
yeah, but until it gets challenged in court, it's always just an opinion too. I mean, we kinda stuck to our guns when we had that crafted. I think the man over there wasn't happy with us. And we said, no, we don't want it to specifically say impact fees. And we stuck that way as a board, that this was a host agreement. And, you know, so now we're making a chance to back away from that.
well, don't forget we also have a budget for legal, which we're already over with 2 months left. So
Agreed.
we if not, we got to find the money somewhere else.
Yeah,
As we try to save money to put into different.
No, I
stuff,
agree,
right?
but I mean, I think as a board, we need to decide, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? We need to make that decision.
Yeah.
Are we gonna accept what Doug is telling us that the state says?
Yeah.
Or are we perhaps gonna try and say, no, we think we need to stand our ground here, because we got other ones of these coming at us
Yeah.
too, possibly.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, first,
legal counsel.
yeah, I mean, for me, I just agree with Doug that these aren't direct correlations to,
Oh,
the
yeah.
marijuana situation. So if we find an opportunity to spend the money in this kind of situation, like if we had $82,000 budgeted, and we spent.
If we don't find it, are we gonna give it back?
No,
I guess
that I don't know, but
Yeah.
but I mean, while we have an opportunity, let's help
Currently,
ourselves.
there's no rule or law stating that you have to spend it as soon as you get it.
Yeah.
You can decide to accumulate. Because once
I
Bluminous
think it's
comes
all
on
another
board.
discussion for another day. I mean,
Well, right,
it's-
it is.
I think we need a,
That's why I
Put it on
wasn't
the-
asking
we
for
need-
a
we
I think
need
we
to
decision.
have
need
it
a
on the
policy
I
agenda.
know you need to think
about
about
how we're
this.
gonna spend it.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
it's
gonna appear that we're just haphazardly saying,
That's-
oh, well, this came up, okay, let's put it towards
You can
this.
do it that way as long as it's a direct
Unexpected.
impact. Of
But again, then where do we
business in the
find the money? I mean, we don't have to spend it, guys, but again,
Well,
we're gonna
it's
have
not-
more legal fees over 2 months, and where are we gonna
Right.
find the other money? So if we have an answer, let it rip,
town.
fine.
In
But-
David's words, at the discretion of the Board of Selectmen.
Right. And don't forget, guys, it's 16,000. I mean, next year we have more money coming in. You know, as long as Healthy Farms is doing. Next year we have more money coming in. The following year we have more. You know, this is, you know, technically a small amount of money compared to what we might see, you know, coming in, and then, you know, then we have to decide on what we are doing with it. But again, that's a conversation for another
Well,
time.
that's right, and let me just add though, but if Bluminous comes online, then next year we'll be looking at $200,000 minimum from them, and $150,000 minimum through Healthy Farms on the medicinal side. We have no idea what they're gonna market.
I don't know if we'd have Bloomers next year. Because wouldn't it be the following year
They haven't
after
even seen
operations
Planning
started?
board yet.
If they get open this year,
Oh, if they open this year,
then we're looking
Look
at
at
next year.
then it would have
Well,
to
it
be
would be
next
next-
year.
They haven't
Yeah,
even gone
it
to
would be the
planning
following
yet,
year.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's what I'm saying, it would be
That's why
the
it's
following year.
So
So we
I
still
mean,
only have,
but I mean,
but I know what your
that's
point is.
just all hypothetical. So what I'm saying is, as these things come on, and as that market grows, and Healthy Farms, becomes more successful, there'll be more dollars there.
That's right.
And by then, the state legislature may have everything
Figured out.
straightened out.
Yeah.
We're still waiting on a bill. I have to check with Senator Tarr's office to see if, because they went to committee on a bill that was approved by the House. So the Senate has to debate and then pass it, and I don't know that they've passed that yet.
Well, guys, let's think about it, okay? Because, like I said, it's let's help to me, it's like help ourselves. It's certainly an expense that I think would fall under,
on that,
that.
You may wanna budget more for next year's also, because we're obviously gonna have more legal fees
Yep.
going forward.
Good
So
point,
that
absolutely.
might be the whole thing.
It might, but you know what? You're gonna spend money to make money. You know, it's serious. You're gonna, basically it'll be an investment, for us as we grow that fund. So, because you're right, it's not gonna go down. That side, it's gonna go up. But again, money well spent. If we're bringing in, more money. So, Mike, is that it?
Yes.
Thank you for bringing us up to speed on that. So, all right, guys, listen. Let's get to Mike's, review. It is here. So we're gonna go through it. Where the hell is it now?
Pages 30, 31.
Where is it on my? Maybe I gotta take my glasses off.
I'm in 32.
Oh, there it is. Okay, found it. All right. So Mike's review. We're getting to it, obviously a lot later than last year. But I want to have a discussion about it. Kip, I know you didn't, participate in this as you hadn't come on the board yet. Selectman Surface, his, feedback and his grades are in here as well. So what I want to do is have a brief discussion about it. We still got to get to appointments. Ask some questions, but I would also like to, at the end, entertain what we did last year, and that is to entertain as a board, giving Mike, partial benefit and bonus on his grades. Last year, how much did we allot, Mike?
It was 1,000.
$1,000. So, maybe, something along the same lines. We did it last year. Mike's final score came out at the end of the day to even more than last year. So if we did it last year, based on that, I'd like to see if the board would vote on doing that. So with that being said, we have the 5 selectmen scores are indicated. We also have, we wrote, next to them what everything came out to be. The averages, as you'll see, kind of range, with different things. I mean, I think some of us are always going to have different opinions, regarding certain areas of Mike's performance. But it's really I think the commentary is really, never mind the scores, the commentary I think is always what, kind of we should focus on. So if we want, what I'd like to do is just quickly, go through it, have, if anybody has any remarks, comments on Mike's review, then, do so now, and we can chat about it. If not, like I said, I'd like to entertain giving Mike that bonus that we gave him last year, as he did better than, last year as far as the score. So, anybody want to start? Any comments about what we see in front of us?
Just a quick question. Do
Sure.
we have the questions are, I have the answers in the comments, but none of the questions. Am I reading it wrong?
No, so the questions, came on another sheet, and
Okay.
these were just kind of put on, as this was, kind of like the answer sheet.
That's okay.
Sort of what they are. They
Okay,
they just
thank
wanna
you.
let me- That might be 2 copies. I don't know.
I mean, I'll start. I mean, I know that I felt that when looking at this, communication was probably one of the biggest things that popped out at me, as it was. It was kind of the point. Mike received 3 scores under 3, which was meeting expectation. And I think those are the ones that, if we want to talk about, we can certainly do it. But communication was one that seemed to be a real sticking point. So what I want to do as a board is just kind of maybe give some feedback to Mike in terms of how he can better communicate with the board, which you'd like to see. I mean, even though here we are in June, but maybe for the rest of this year, how he can do better in communicating with the board, so that we are actually, a better board. So for those,
I'll start.
go ahead, then.
For one thing, I've always found this agenda inadequate. And I would like to see, because it's just infused cannabis beverage marketing discussion. I would like to see, under each agenda item, about a little paragraph telling us what this is about. The one that sticks on my mind is when that water management company was in here, and they started, and all it had for an agenda item was the name of a company.
Mhm.
Well, what's the name of this company? We get our agendas on a Thursday afternoon, usually. And town hall's closed on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then we have Monday to maybe try to find out what's going on. Never
Sure.
mind read all the supporting material that comes with it.
Mhm.
So I'm thinking that we can have a little one-paragraph sheets on each item, so that we know the general idea of what we're gonna be talking about.
Okay.
I know the school department does that. I think they call them orange sheets. I know that the planning board has their stuff, a week or so or more in advance. Now, this is not in reflection on, Mike or Janet that prepare these things, and I just think that we need more information, because when I open up my agenda and there's 179 pages of supporting material, it's kind of overwhelming to think that I gotta go through 179 pages of stuff, scan them at least in 3 days.
Mhm.
So I'd like to see that. That to
Okay.
me is tantamount in communication to the board. There's a lot that goes on that maybe we're not aware of, but we should at least know and understand what's going on the agenda,
Okay.
just so we have a summary of it.
Okay.
Second, I think that we need to have, with communication, that we need to have we had kind of a weekly communication of what was going on. Unfortunately, that turned out to be more like a laundry list. And I don't expect it to be pages of communication. But I'd like to know when we're talking to town council, what we're talking about. I'd like to know calls that come in to the office I mean, many times, and again, not a reflection on Mike, sometimes things that'll come up the last minute. But many times we get documents at a meeting that we've never seen, and that sometimes we're expected to take a vote on that. So I'd like to know in advance what's taking place in town hall, the selectman's office, for things that come in, and see a better report, not as a checking up report on Mike, but just as here's the flow of information that's
just
coming.
keeping us informed.
There's so much that
Yep.
comes through.
Yep.
And we need to be updated on that. There's a lot of discussions that take place that we don't know anything about. And some of that could be that individual selectmen go in and speak with Mike. And I think that we need to be updating each other on what we've been talking to Mike about.
Yeah, and I think a good example of something like that, Mike, could be, say, National F, right? I'm sure you're talking to John Cashel a lot about, some of the things that are going on, some things going on with the Merrimack Valley Planning Commission with the grants, things like that. So I think that would be good information that can be emailed, and that's an example, right? Just maybe even discussions with different department heads that could be coming this way. I always felt it helpful to see those because there are times that I don't make it into town hall at all over a week. I just don't have the time. So it's just nice to maybe see if that happens over a week that I haven't been here, to see if there's anything that now generally I could always call, or any of us could call and kind of check in, but sometimes you just don't have the chance. So I think those are two good points, pertaining to the agenda and just a weekly update. So anybody else on communication?
I gave him a 3 on this, and I think, we didn't, I don't think we really filled out the longer term goals, which I think we were supposed to, so you can't, if there was anything on there about communication, I didn't even look at those, because we didn't give anything, but, every time I call Mike, he always responds to me. He gets back to me, or he answers the phone and he follows up. So I've been pleased with the communication front this year.
Okay. Gary, anything from you? No. Okay. For me, I'll say that communication. Especially with I would say the weekly report. I think that I think the leadership, aspect of this, unfortunately, Mike got dinged a little bit because of all the grievances that we have, and I think you're kind of the punching bag for that, Mike. I think you would have had a bigger score if we didn't have the grievances, come around, and like you said, it's not always kind of coming down on you, but I think you're the kind of face that the board puts with that. So I also think that, and then looking at just the only other score under 3 is planning, and I think that's kind of goes along with what Doug had mentioned. With maybe this, Doug. Anything else in terms of planning? Is that what you were referring to?
What do you mean?
In terms of the agenda, planning, the agenda, or I don't know if there was any other aspect of planning that needs improvement. We have some remarks regarding that, meeting deadlines at times, and then a guide on the use of recreational marijuana. So it's maybe some preparation for meetings when it comes to information. So, that's what I got out of, on the planning side.
You were looking at.
Anybody else have anything to comment on the planning side? No? All right, so other than that guy, he got three. I mean, those three scores, really affected his bottom number. I will tell you that I think Mike did an exceptional job, this year around the budget. I think really he did a great job. Mike, single-handedly brought the insurance agent in. That saved the town. How much did we save, Mike, on the insurance side? 50, 60 grand, I think it was.
A little more than that.
A little more than that. And was always ready, with numbers. So I thought he did an exceptional job this year on that budgeting staff. So I personally, I think Mike had a good year, at least in my eyes. Mike and I maybe talk a little bit more with me being chair, but I anytime, like Steve said, that I've needed Mike to give me information or send something to me or whatever, he's done it. So, that's kind of the feedback I have. So why don't we, try to wrap this up as quickly as we can, as we're getting past 10. Any other comments as a general statement?
I have,
Go ahead, Karen. Let Gary go.
just, I'm disappointed in the way that we as a board right now are bringing this together. I obviously, I've met with Mike, gone over this, and probably gonna be meeting again tomorrow. And I understand that there's some concern, we can't do this in executive session anymore, but this is the type of thing to me that still could have got together a specific meeting for this on a workshop type activity. If Mike is there, Mike could be there, but we could have gone over this and talked more about it rather than right now at this late hour. And, things can always change. If we could have come in each with ours, sat down, I could have perhaps gone up on some after listening to other people and made some changes. Or listening to others, I could have perhaps gone down. But I mean, I think by getting together that way, I know in the past when we've done it that way, there have been changes made, and we've come to some consistency in that way. Well, what do we give them as an average, and we've said, well, the average is here at 277, do we, yeah, but this is that, okay, we go up to 3 on the average. We've made changes in that way, working together as a board, and I'm disappointed that it's coming together like this. I don't think it does us as a board any good, and I don't think it does Mike professionally moving ahead any good. And so just you asked if I've got any comments.
Okay.
That was it.
Doug, you got a comment?
What's that?
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you have any other comments?
Oh.
Because I want to see if we can close this up.
I mean, I would concur with Gary with the process of the this year's review. First, we were supposed to review them in January, and now it's June. And so we need to really we got to prepare to start doing the reviews probably around September or October, to get it done by January, so Mike has his review, on time.
Yep.
Even if it just, maybe because December gets kind of busy, so let's say by no later than November, we should be doing this. And, but I've never really agreed with a compilation of stuff. And I don't know, because Steve did send out that thing saying that we can't meet.
Well, I was going to mention that. I mean, we can't do that, but
Yeah.
I mean, we can, we can certainly, see if there's anything else we can do. I mean, I even talked to Mike about doing this in executive session, and even last year it was done in public session. So, that was kind of next, in terms of doing it in executive session. So, As far as doing it early in the year, believe me, I agree. We have to get all the reports in and do it earlier in the year. June is much too late, so we'll try to do better next year. So, Steve, anything further from you?
No.
No. All right. So as I mentioned, I'd like to see if we could give Mike the same bonus as we did last year. As we voted it last year. He had a better score this year, which kind of pushes me to proposing that we try to give him that same bonus.
What was it that it needs to be up to? Was it 3?
It's 3.5, I think.
Yeah, to get the full bonus,
3.75.
375. Yeah.
And above.
Yeah. So, but the final score is north of meets expectations. So I think Mike is doing overall a good job. So would the board entertain that? Yep. Want to make a motion?
Yeah, what's the, like,
It's
I'd like to make a
$1,000.
motion that we give, the percentage or just an amount?
Just an amount is fine.
An amount is
Yeah.
fine? That we give Mike, $1,000 bonus for fiscal year 2017, 2018, is that right? No, or is it 2018, 2019?
FY19.
FY19, yep,
That gets paid in FY19.
right, okay.
And this is deferred income. I don't get it directly, and I don't get it till I retire.
Okay, so, deferred income, yeah. Okay.
Okay. So we have a motion. Do we have a second? Can I second it? Yeah, I'll second it then.
Yeah.
Okay, motion is second. Any further discussion on it?
Just a question, we did, I remember discussing it last year, but I didn't know we did vote on it and it did go through, okay.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah.
I have a document from last year.
Yep.
We had must-dos for 2017. It was hire a town treasurer, which happened. Negotiate a new health insurance contract, which happened. Complete the replacement of the heating pipes, which happened. Close and manage 45 Central. Well, that's open still, but it's almost done.
Well, it's pretty much done. I mean, you just need to wait till
Complete
July.
the senior center,
Yep.
that was done. Oversee the budget process with FinCom, which he does. Prepare draft warrants for town meetings. And I don't know, it says complete 6 individual action plans. And on the back page, I only have 5.
The one that we didn't, that's the one I was referring to, so I reviewed mine based on those there, and I said, you know them all, so I couldn't do those because we didn't prepare those for them, so.
Yeah.
So Mike, you went to HR training classes last
Yes,
year?
yes, I did.
Okay. And we as a board have fallen short. One of the goals was that we would meet with Mike once a quarter.
Well, some have.
Well, you do every day. So, I mean, most of the stuff they had goals to do got done.
It's done.
And I suppose that I could be in agreement with what is on the floor.
Okay. So, we have a motion. We have a second. Any further discussion? And by the way, Kip, you're not going to vote this, right?
No.
Okay. It'll be the 4 of us. So, all those in favor? Aye.
I,
Okay. 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Keep up the good work. All right. I think we're just down to appointments now, gentlemen. Then be on our merry way. So I know it's not a small thing, but we'll get through them as quickly as we can.
Quickly, I'm running low on sugar.
sometimes we don't get through all of them.
Do we have it? Do those have to be done before the next meeting? I'm just-
No, usually we only do a certain amount of them, right?
Sometimes you do have to list tonight and
Yeah.
have to list on the 25th. Because a lot of these,
Yeah.
we do try to do the police sometimes so that, because they have
Is that-
to get re-sworn in.
God, I'll argue a quarter.
Yeah, let's do a quarter.
Seriously, we can do a
Let's
quarter.
get out
and a half,
by
you know.
10:30.
Yeah.
Or do you wanna take Janet's suggestion of,
Please.
like, start with emergency management, doing police and things like that?
Yeah, why don't we do that? I like that, I like that suggestion.
That's on page 5.
Okay.
Can we do, under emergency management, do we have to do these individually?
No.
I know we have this question every year, but because there's different categories? Or just they're the entire emergency management team?
Yeah.
You could, and just, if you just say the names.
All right, okay, so then I would move that we, for emergency management, that we would, I would move that we would appoint Donald Cudmore, Police Chief, Fred A. Mitchell, Junior Fire Chief, Lieutenant Scott Hatch, Dean Julian, Peter Durkee, Highway Surveyor, Deborah Rogers, Health Agent, Donald Cudmore, Police Chief for the Emergency Response Coordinator, to the Emergency Management Team for a term to expire 6/30/2019.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay. Under the, I move that under Federal Emergency Management Association, FEMA, that we reappoint Donald Cudmore, Police Chief, Fred A. Mitchell, Fire Chief, Lieutenant Scott Hatch, for terms to expire June 30, 2019.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion on those? No? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. You're on that page, may as well just do the bottom one.
Well, you guys gotta decide
Yeah.
which one of you coming off of there, so why don't we wait on that?
Yeah,
What
you're
was
right.
this for? Oh.
Well, you could do the first two, but I had a question. Shouldn't they be the 2020?
Yeah, exactly.
So why don't we do that?
The
What's
top
that?
two, yeah, the top two should be 2020.
Okay, I'll move on to Economic Development Committee to appoint Wayne Snow, James Lacy for terms to expire 6/30/2020.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I do,
Okay.
because,
We're not doing the
You're
others.
saying-
Not doing the
Just
other
those
ones.
two for right now.
no, I understand, but my sheet says 6/30/2019.
Because
It's a 2-year
Right, it should
appointment.
have been,
Yeah.
it was a 2-year.
Oh, okay.
Bottom ones are 1 year.
So that's just,
Oh, you
that's
can't
just
see.
a typo then?
Yeah, that was just.
Thank you. Do we have a second on that? Yeah.
Yes.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion other than that? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Yeah, we gotta figure out the other ones. Okay,
Well, we have some more. Gee, we got nobody for a fence viewer? All right, so let's go to page 6 then, and we'll just,
Vacant.
um,
Wanna be a
for-
fence
what's that? I
Trying to convince-
move that we reappoint
Yep.
Michael Farrell as the acting finance director for a term to expire June 30, 2019.
Second.
okay, motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 And the Forest Warden, I move that we reappoint Fred A. Mitchell, Junior Fire Chief, for a term to expire June 30, 2019.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I move that we reappoint Fred A. Mitchell, Jr., Fire Chief, as the Hazardous Materials Coordinator for a term to expire June 30, 2019.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I move, under Hazard Mitigation Planning Committee, I move that we reappoint Deborah Rogers, Health Agent, Steve Pajimski, Conservation Agent, John Cashel, Town Planner. Peter Durkee, Highway Surveyor. Fred A. Mitchell, Jr., Fire Chief. Donald Cudmore, Police Chief. David Schofield, Light Manager. Michael Farrell, Town Administrator. And I'm not gonna say Bruce Trumbull, right?
Yeah, I wasn't sure
Because he's
about
not the
that,
manager,
because
yeah.
He's the interim manager right now.
He is right now?
Yes, Bruce Trumbull is the interim manager.
He has an
that was-
18-month contract, right? Is that what they said today?
Right.
So,
So would
okay,
he
so.
be here till-
so-
yeah, he'd be here.
So Bruce Trumbull,
So he would-
interim water manager,
March.
for terms to expire June 30, 2019.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second, further discussion on that. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Okay. The liquor license agents to the Board of Selectmen.
you
Chief-
wanna just take care of historical commission?
Okay, the
well,
Historical
right after
Commission, Philip Trapani, Chair, and Derek Richards, for terms to expire June 30, 2021.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second, any further discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So, liquor license agents to the Board of Selectmen. Chief Donald Cudmore. Lieutenant Scott Hatch. Detective Sergeant Rodden. Sergeant Kevin Defio. Sergeant Derek Jones. Detective Matthew Carapellucci. All for terms to expire June 30, 2019.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, discussion. One, for me, Sergeant Jones, he's back, right?
Yes.
He was back, okay. All right, that's it. Okay, we have a motion and a second, any further discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, Merrimack Valley Planning Commission representative. I move that we appoint John Cashel, Town Planner, and
That's it, buddy.
that's it,
Is that fine now?
for a term to expire June 30, 2019.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second, all those in favor?
Aye. So we do need to have someone from the planning board fill in as an alternate, right?
Yeah, will you send them an email, please? Thank you.
Mobile Food Vendor Committee. Donald Cudmore, Police Chief. Peter Durkee, Highway. Les Godin, Building Department. Deborah Rogers, Health. Fred A. Mitchell, Fire Chief. For terms to expire June 30, 2019.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Northeast Mosquito Control. Deborah Rogers, Board of Health. Term to expire June 30, 2019.
Second.
Okay, motion second, further discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
OPEB. Ian Gill, Treasurer. Mary McMenamy, Town Accountant. Joseph Bonavita, Board of Selectmen. Ed Dovey, FinCom Chair. Michael Farrell, Town Administrator, for terms to expire June 30, 2019.
Second.
Motion and second, further discussion, I will abstain on this vote,
Oops, hold on a minute.
so just so everyone
Oh,
knows,
no, we got it. Yep.
okay?
Yep.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 I move that we reappoint following people to the Park and Recreation Commission. Chris Roost, James Demento, Dave Shower, Al Kitchen, John Dunleavy, and there are 2 vacancies, for terms to expire June 30, 2019.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, further discussion. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I abstain.
That did pass.
Yeah,
Under Police Department. For Lieutenant Scott Hatch. Patrol Sergeant Kevin M. Defio. Derek Jones. Detective Sergeant James Rodden. Matthew Carapalucci as detective. Patrolman Philip Kobanski. Joanne Morrissey. Henry Olszewski. David Rosquette. Heather LaFavor. Taylor A. Ford. Laura Britton. All for terms to expire June 30, 2021.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
I move that we reappoint reserve officers for the Georgetown Police Department. Mark Anderson, Tyler Deshane, Joanne Vallone, Dean A. Julian, Jason Puglisi, Mark Gagnon, Gary Levesque, Navaldo Rodriguez, Jay Martell, Laura Britton, Peter New, Tyler Skane, Philip Sape, and Jeffrey French, all for terms to expire June 30, 2019.
I'll second that for discussion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Go ahead, discussion.
Laura is no longer a reserve officer, right? She's full-time? Correct.
Oh, Laura is the,
SRO.
The
the
SRO.
new, the
Yeah,
new.
but we
Yeah,
just
she's-
voted her in as patrolman.
Yeah, so she shouldn't be
take her
reserve.
out, yeah.
Yeah, I'll take her
Good
off.
catch, man.
Okay, so, yes, then I revise the motion to strike Laura Britton
Okay.
from reserve officer.
All right, so we have a new motion. Do you have a second?
Second.
All right, second. Any further discussion on that?
Yeah, just Levesque. We said Gary Levesque. It's Gregory Levesque.
Did I say Gary?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Gregory Levesque. I happen to know a Gary Levesque.
And isn't the S silent? Shouldn't it be actually Levesque?
I think you're right.
Oh, it could
There
be.
should be an accent after the E, isn't it? Too, no?
Gee,
It's not? Accent
Watch
aigu
us.
or
I'll
grave?
stop talking
I
when
forget
we-
which one.
I do have a question. Didn't we just appointed a reserve officer, right?
Yes.
A new one?
Yes.
I
Yeah,
believe that
Phillips
was
and
last
Puglisi.
meeting?
Phillips.
Yeah.
Wasn't that
CP?
Puglisi?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, this
Puglisi
one.
was-
Yeah, the one who really looked like the police officer.
Yes.
Okay.
The intimidating one.
Yes.
It's right.
Wow.
All right,
We need a vote.
so we have a second.
Wait a
Yep.
second.
Yeah, we have a motion and a second, as long as, with the revision of Gregory Levesque.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Any further discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Move that we reappoint Derek, under Animal Control Officer Derek Jones, and Assistant Animal Control Officer Dean A. Julian, Reed Wilson, Constables, Donald Cudmore, Police Chief, Harbor Master Donald Cudmore, Police Chief, Assistant Harbor Master Tyler Deshane, Jeffrey French, School Crossing Guards George Comiskey, Joseph L.
Bouchard.
Bouchard, and Larry Mintz, for terms to expire June 30, 2019.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any conversation about that? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, I'm gonna wipe it there.
Okay.
All right, so let's remember Rock Pond, Committee, okay? This is where we stopped, and then we're gonna go back up top.
Can I ask a question? Should we appoint that one new Conservation Commission member so that they can perhaps get up to 5 members?
That probably would be
Does
good.
he have
page is that on,
have a
Gary?
resignation there?
Gary, what page is that on?
Page 3.
3.
I mean,
1, 2.
is it Tom Howland?
Tom Howland, yes.
And you say he'd been on there before?
Yes.
Yes, he'd been a member and then got off the board and then he was
Oh, okay.
interested
So I
in
think they
getting back.
might have a meeting between now and
And have they
Yep.
interviewed him and he, did a
Yes.
Conservation Commission's fine with it, okay.
Yeah, he met, I think he talked to Carl, the
Okay,
chair,
good.
and, yeah, and Steve met with him.
All right, good.
Okay, so, is that what we're doing? All right.
Yep.
So I move that.
Carl is up for.
Yeah, might as well do both of them.
appointments,
Yeah.
whether you wanna
Yeah, I'll do both.
Carl, too.
I move that for the Conservation Commission, we appoint Tom Howland and reappoint Carl Schrader for terms to expire June 30, 2021.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Could I have a little discussion on that commission?
On what?
Is it, would we want to perhaps consider, because I don't think we've had a board, and I know they missed their last meeting, I think probably due to a quorum.
Yes.
If there's only 5 appointed, do they still need 4 because it's a 7-member board? Should we consider perhaps going down to a 5-member board, or is there a state law or
I'd
something?
have to check the law first, Gary.
Do you think maybe we ought to at least look into it?
We could do alternates as well, right?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Well,
Just throwing it out there for thought. I mean, I don't know what they might think of
we
it,
should
but,
check with Carl.
yeah, but because I don't think they've had have they had a full board recently of 7?
Not too long ago.
But I mean, they seem to be
Had
coming
a
and
couple
going
people
lately. I don't know.
Get off and on, so I don't, they maybe were like at 6 for a while.
Okay.
I think there was one opening, and they've lost 2 recently.
All right, does anybody else have anything else to add for the board? All right, our next meeting is Monday, June 25th, 7 o'clock in the same room. I want to thank everybody, for joining at home.
Yes, Joe. Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Questions have been coming from the employees regarding the 4th of July holiday.
Yes.
4th of July is on a Wednesday, and most people are gonna be taking Thursday off as a personal day. I don't know that we're gonna have very many people stopping by on the 5th of July to do business. What we did last year when we had to close because of lack of heat, and we were doing the rebuild of the pipes. We closed 2 Thursdays in a row, and we, instead of having floating holidays for the Thanksgiving, day after Thanksgiving, that's our floating holiday. We made those closing dates automatic floating holidays. So people didn't get to choose when to take their floating holiday. Would the board like to consider closing the town hall on the 5th of July?
Absolutely. I'm in for that.
What day is the 5th?
It's a Thursday.
It's a Thursday?
Let the folks have their holiday.
Also, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
No one's coming here,
Might as well.
July 5th
That's really
anyway.
the real kickoff of summer that weekend, too.
It is the deadest, well, I wouldn't know because I'm never here. I take vacation that day of that week.
That's what I'm saying.
I've heard it's dead.
And the way I believe it to everyone is that if you notify the public that it's not going to be open
Yeah,
anyway,
public stuff.
then if they do have something they have to come to town hall, they'll come on the Tuesday, or the Monday. As long as you give them time to prepare. Let's not tell them that, that Monday or Tuesday, but if we're telling them tomorrow, sure.
We'll get it out.
That's, that's fine with me. So is everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Giving our employees, that day?
They get out, they're getting their holidays,
floating holiday, yeah.
but it's just that at our
Not an extra
choosing,
day.
not at their choosing.
Yeah. Tell them to enjoy the holiday with their families, it's fine.
I think we need some give back. What do you got?
You work Friday, is that what you're saying?
All right, is that it, Mike?
Yes.
Okay. Again, everyone, Monday, June 25th is our next meeting. We appreciate everyone that is still up with us, staying up with us. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All right, you got a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Adios.